horizon. I see trouble on the way. I see earthquakes and lightning. I see bad times today. Don't go around tonight, but it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise.
Magnificent desolation. Tranquility Base, Houston, guidance recommendation is pinged, and you're cleared for takeoff.
I see the bad moon horizon. I see trouble on the way. I see earthquakes and lightning. I see bad times today. Don't go around tonight, but it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise. I hear hurricanes are blowing. I know the end is coming soon. I fear rivers overflowing. I hear the voice of rage and ruin. Don't go around tonight, but it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise. Don't go around tonight, but it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise.
Find absolutely no reason why anyone would think you crazy if you described this meeting of ours.
You're feeling very sleepy, very relaxed.
Alex Trebek, the game show host?
Well, well, well. We are back again. And we should be, well, we are even, live from the rolling hills of Murrayshire in the far, far, very, very, very far northeast corner of bonny, bonny, bonny Scotland. Where else? Where else would you rather be? Let me think. Anywhere but possibly. Nah, hey, it's not that bad. It's great, right? Just keep telling myself, look, it's great. People here from and that stay in Scotland. We love it. It's great. Sure. Anyway, we are indeed live from the rolling hills of Murrayshire. So, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are in this absolutely insane world that we live in. Holy moly. Where do you even begin? At the beginning. Yeah, the beginning. Wherever that is, right? Answers on a postcard. Where is the beginning? In fact, ask AI. Ask AI where the beginning is, and see what truth you get from it. Not much, to be fair. So we're back again. We should be cooking by gas. I'm hoping the setup is okay because someone dropped the cable in a cup of juice. I don't know. I don't even know what you call it. Getting all technical now. Anyway, the cable for the microphone. Some stupid idiot, dropped it, and it landed directly into a cup of orange juice. But hey, I just whacked it about, spun it around for a minute or so, and thought, hey, what the heck, right? And hey, I reckon we're good to go. Let me know if it's not. Then I don't know. I'll get the hairdryer. We'll put the hairdryer on it and dry it out. I think we're okay. So it's back again. We were live on it was Friday, I think, past, and we had Mark Conlon and of course Sensum, kind of co-host, I guess you would call it. Rather than a guest. I mean, he's a co-host to the channel, but he doesn't even know it yet. He knows it now, right? He's a good lad. Our English brother sent some. It's always good. He's been away for a wee bit, so it was good to get him back. And I'm sure a lot of people thought, oh, there's that English guy, that strange English dude. He's okay. So it was good to have him. And of course, Mark Conlon, 9/11 planes research. I mean, the work he does is, honestly, it's second to none. Nobody quite matches it. It's so in depth, and when it comes to the work Mark does, he only uses the evidence, the data that's already been provided. So it's quite good what he does. He uses their own data against them. So I mean, how can they argue in that situation, right? And it can be a wee bit complicated and complex when you're dealing with that aircraft data. But Mark knows what he's doing, and I highly recommend people check him out. So if you don't know who I'm on about and you're thinking, what the is this guy on about? Get him off. If you go to the previous live stream, you'll find Mark. And did I put his link in the... I can't put links. I've not got the ability. YouTube, they won't let me put a link in the description. So I guess white privilege again. So I reckon I did put it in the comments. Anyway, you'll find 9/11 planes research on YouTube, but for how long, I don't know, because they crack down. He gets hey, we know the crack with with YouTube, right? We know the score, and Mark gets targeted quite a bit. Not alone, of course, but he does get it. So and we did touch on that the other week. So I recommend people go and check it out. I think next week we're going to have some of you will know this person, so we've got a guest on next week. Will I keep it a secret? Maybe. I might fill yous in. I might fill yous in. Oh, dog's not happy. He's growling. It's probably a cat walking past. He's at the window, so we're going to have him, Beans, growling, and he better not bark. He'll be getting thrown out. Don't you bark? He's like quietly growling, trying to do it without me noticing, right? So Beans is here. That's him saying hello. He's a good dog. He is a good dog. So tonight we're talking about Lockerbie, the town Lockerbie in Scotland, which is the scene back in 1988 of the UK's worst ever terrorist attack. That's what it's called by the mainstream. Mainly due to the amount of people who died both on the aeroplane and on the ground. And it's a wee bit forgotten. It gets a wee bit forgotten about. And to be honest, I'm probably guilty of that as well. But not tonight, and not for the foreseeable future. Because we're going to be looking at some of the stuff tonight. And then, God granted, in the near future, we're going to come back to it. Because I don't know, depending on how we get on tonight, and hey, you know what I'm like. So it likely will be a 2, maybe 3 part. So 2 or 3 different streams, and we're going to get into... Yeah, we're gonna start off with the details and look at some of the footage, look at some of the... Let me get up. Phone. Look at some of the witness testimony and stuff like that. Just sort of in a nutshell, if you like. Basically, there was a flight from, I think, Gatwick to Washington, and when it was flying over Scotland, specifically Lockerbie, a bomb got set off. This is the official narrative, right? So they're flying over Lockerbie, and then boom, a bomb exploded, and then the aircraft lands in Lockerbie on a housing estate, basically, and a gas station, if you like. So double whammy there. So that's basically in the short form, the official narrative. Terrorists on board, had a bomb on board, it blew up, the plane came down, everybody died, and people on the ground died as well. I think maybe up until about a couple, maybe no more than 6 months ago, when I listened to an interview that was done by a guy called Dean Warwick, an ex kind of, I don't know what you'd call him, a kind of, maybe he worked for different governments. He was like an agent, but freelance. I don't know if I'd say mercenary, but he was kind of freelance, working for the powers that be. And he talked about a lot of different things, and I mean, they killed the guy in the end. A big spoiler there, but he definitely did know quite a lot of stuff. I mean, quite a lot would be underestimating the guy, I think. Because this is all my view, and of course he's not here today, and the stuff out there in regards to Dean is quite limited, which is again quite telling as well. But the guy Dean Warwick it's a fascinating kind of mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing interview. And you can't listen to it. It's on a platform called SoundCloud. And Dean talks about 9/11, and he's like, yeah, they got taken down by an energy weapon, ultrasound, I think he might have said. And the guy's like, wait, what? What the heck? Whoa, stop there. What do you mean? What do you mean, right? What are you talking about? And he's like, basically, hey, and this is going back to 2007, I think. And the guy Dean's like, we worked on different operations where they talked about taking down the Twin Towers in its own footprint with an ultrasound weapon. And the guy's like, what? Wait, what? And of course, the more, when it comes to 9/11, the more you look into it, the more you look at it, it's like, actually, I think Dean and, of course, Dr. Judy Wood, I think they probably, both of them are on the money. What exactly it is, I'm unsure if we'll ever know, to be honest. And again, hey, we think we know, but we don't. And a lot of people can't let that go. Oh, but physics and science and And it's like, look, you the first hurdle, the first kind of hurdle you've got to get over is knowing that you, I mean, really each and every one of us know absolutely fucking zilch. Nada. Not a thing. And a lot of people do not like to hear that. They don't, man. They simply don't. But for me, and there is a good old Chinese proverb, but I'd be butchering it. And yeah, the amount we get told and the amount that we know is very, very little. They hide a lot of stuff from what people call the masses, if you like. But I don't even like using that term. But they do, they hide it. And of course, people say, well, prove they've got technology. And there is bits and pieces here and there that shed light on this technology potentially existing and being in use. But of course, a lot of people say, well, give me a sophisticated peer-reviewed paper on such a weapon, or they want a BBC article detailing this specific energy weapon, and it's like, come on, man, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's just, it's not out there. And I think 9/11, there's similarities. Again, there is quite a lot of similarities with even the Lockerbie incident. And going back to where I started in this sort of segment, the guy Dean Warwick brought up the topic of Lockerbie, and he was from New Zealand, but he was staying in Scotland. Unlucky for some. And he said, and I've kind of got to watch what I'm saying, but because I reckon it won't be liked by the FOT police. So I'll make it as brief, summarise it as best as I can, because Dean talked about it in quite a bit of detail. And in terms of what Dean thought happened is completely different from the official narrative. In particular, Dean's theory, I'll call it a theory, Dean's theory is it got shot down. The tension. So it didn't blow up. Well, it did blow up in the sky, but not due to a bomb on board. They actually shot the plane out of the sky with a missile. And I think Dean pointed to possibly an American and UK operation. I think America heavily involved in it, and American people on board. And up until that point, I had questioned the narrative of the bomb in it being terrorists, but I never thought it got shot out the sky up until Dean said that. And I thought, is that what's happened here? I can't put any weight behind it, but I think Dean is a guy who probably knows what he's talking about. I just wish he was still about today, but not the case. But I certainly had questions surrounding the Guy McGrahy, the bomb on board, seemingly. The evidence, I mean, holy Jesus. But up until that point, I never questioned how it came down. But Dean reckoned the evidence he seen pointed to the plane being shot out the sky and a rocket got fired at it. It blew up in the sky and then it hit the ground. Landed on different houses. Well, a house and estate. Quite a sad story. Quite grim for a lot of people. Kind of forgotten about, and I guess a lot of people they probably wanted to forget about it. Horrific incident, which of course, straight off the bat, people thought, well, it crashed. It's been an accident. But then as time goes on, oh, wait a minute, Bin Laden, no, not Bin Laden. They're not using him. It was McGrahy, right? So Libyan terrorists. And similar to 9/11, it's not just the incident. There's a lot more to come from it. So they capitalise on said incident. Disaster. Usually, for us, a disaster. And it's quite a common theme. There's, like I said, you'll notice different similarities as time goes on. So what we'll do, we'll say hello. We'll quickly bring up, because I want to... I don't think it's quite a well-known topic, Lockerbie. So we'll touch on a few details and then we'll head into a few witness... not statements, but interviews and... a couple of different videos. Let me see if I can work the bloody... It'll be that one, right? What happened there? I couldn't download it, so I don't know if it's even going to work. Is it? Oh, it seems to be working. It seems to be working. That helps. Now, why is it doing that? Can we put that like that? Which will probably be better. So we'll say hello and then we'll get down to it. Time-wise, I don't know, man. I do not know. But we'll see, right? How long's a piece of string? We'll see how we get on, and I'll be as on my best behaviour, right? Comments. Yeah, it's bloody cold here as well. When I was coming home today from at college and then coming home, and it was sunny and clear, blue sky, beautiful day, but fucking hell, it was freezing, man. I was frozen coming home, kicking myself, wishing I took a bigger jacket. I had my fleece, and the wind, the cold in the wind, man, just coming right through my zip. Like freezing me. It's like, oh man, when will... Hey, you'd think I'd know by now, living in Scotland. But of course, a sunny day, sun's out, blue sky, the mind, oh, it's a good day. Honestly, it was frozen, man. It was freezing. So yeah, good to see Wendy in the hood. Carmel as well. I noticed over on Mez's stream. Great stuff. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. And where's Rich? He better be about. He better not be slacking. Shocking, man. Shocking. Letting me down. Disappointed. Disowned. Disowning my own son. Of course I'm not. He's still my son, Rich, who's obviously not my son, but it's a joke. A terrible one, but it's been a long running joke. So good to see Carmel. I hope you're both well. Mark as well from Oz. Mark, the Wizard of Oz, in the hood. Why is it not working? Oh dear. Good to see you, Mark. I hope you're doing well. Good day, all. Good day, all. That's my Aussie accent. I'm terrible, I know. Hey, I'll see myself out, right? See you later. I'm wasted here, right? Wasted, man. Good to see Mark in the hood. Ross is here as well. Good to see you, Ross. Apex Card in the hood. Good to see you. The beautiful Justine. Great stuff. Back again. Moderator keeping it. Oh, speak of the devil. He's sure to appear. Satan exposed. Rich, eh? His ears must have been burning away. Good to see you, Rich. I hope you're doing well. Anybody else that I missed quickly? Rich, another Rich as well. Richard. Yep, it's been a bit. I don't know. It might be because so many tabs, but I don't know. We're all good so far. We'll keep the show must go on, right? We'll keep going. Jerry's here. Where did he go? And don't you be running away elsewhere, Jerry. You honestly, you should really be starting on a timeout today. Start Jerry on a timeout. Good to see you, Jerry. I hope you're doing well. Dangleberries in the hood. Hope you're doing well. And again, there it goes. Refuse Nick in the hood. Good to see you. Frank's here. Good to see you, Frank. Forget it was then. Explains mum. Yeah, 1988. So I'd have been, 1 year old? Yeah, December 88. Just a baby. Still a baby. Right, that's it. Time out. Yeah. So quite a while ago. Good to see Frank in the hood. The information tank, of course. Rich Dangleberries. Is it Tonette? Tonette? I'm terrible with names. But probably butchered it. Good evening, Tonette. Hope you're doing well. Who else did I see? Ulick in the hood. And look out for him. He is trouble, man. Honestly, the guy's trouble. He'll, just a complete and utter bully, a racist bully. No, I'm joking, of course. Ulick's a good man. Yeah, you might be hearing from him actually soon. I might keep it as a surprise. Probably ruined it now. We'll see, right? Tight Scotsman in the hood. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. And the doggy. Karma Police in the hood. The Karma Police. Great name, that, right? Yeah, Karma. Karma's a weird one. I mean, I just really don't know what to make of Karma. I really don't. Sometimes I think, yeah, Karma. And then I think, I don't know. I know nothing these days, man. You think as you get older, you learn more. But for me, it's the opposite. It's the opposite for me. It's an interesting topic, though. It's one that we might... Oh, he's an expert on karma now. It's one that we might look into. I think it could be good. Oh, Joni as well. A familiar face who, yep, you'll be seeing more of soon. So look out for it. Dawn, good to see Dawn in the hood. And I reckon we got there in the end. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're all good in the hood. Let's go back to the bottom. Jerry, Joni, yep. Tonette. Look, I'll say it how I say it, right? You can't take that away from me. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm terrible. People here already know how bad I am. Let's not dwell on it, right? Let's not just forget how bad I am. Just forget it. So, yeah, good to see everyone. Jerry, Joni in the hood. And we'll jump back. I'll try and keep an eye. So keep that open. Canna though. Yeah, I'll jump screens and we'll take it from there. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe does anybody else know any other theory in regards to how the plane might have came down? I don't know if there is any other theories. I mean, like I said, up until about a few months back, I didn't even know about the missile theory. So quite shocking that. Kicking myself. Where was you on that one, right? So I don't know, what other theories could there be? I mean, when you listen to the eyewitness statements and testimonies, I mean, this thing blew up in the sky and then it came down. I don't think there's any kind of debate in that regard. How it blew up, that might be a different story. And do you know, I remember there's one guy who he was in his house, I think, at the time when it happened, and he heard it. And it's what he said that reminded me about Dean Warwick's theory of a missile, a rocket, took it out. And I'll show you what I mean as time goes on. And of course, you're not allowed to have an alternative theory. Oh no! You've got to stand by look. The mainstream theory is it. There's no more. You're not allowed to question it. You're not allowed to offer up an alternative theory in no way, shape, or form. Especially when it comes to these so-called events that happen, these tragic events. And that's the world we're in, man. It's like, fucking what? You can't even, I mean, you're deemed a form of terrorist, which is kind of fitting and telling at the same time. I mean, the brass neck to call people like us a terrorist. Of course, they add the word domestic. So, he's a domestic terrorist. YouTube, the lights will be going off. The alarms will be going off. On YouTube Central now. Hey, I'd imagine anybody and everybody out there, in the eyes of the powers that be, we're all the enemy, basically. We're all the enemy. How people can't see that, I don't know, but let me see if I can work this. Right, we're good to go, and we've got a clear screen. If I leave a comment up, let me know and I can take it down. So we're live tonight, and we'll be live again next week, Wednesday. Look out for it, and we'll have guests on then. And then, as far as I'm aware, the week after, God granted, we will have guests on again. So not just me, right? But I know, and hey, to be honest, I know people, because I tend to say, well, it's good if I get other people on, and it's not just me. And people have said, look, well, we don't come to listen to other people. We come to listen to you, which is, I guess, is true. I can understand that to a degree. But for me, I just feel like going on and on for hours on end on your own is it can be a bit much. It can be a bit much. So even like getting sent some or another co-host from time to time that can kind of just jump in and tag along and be someone that I can interrogate and ask questions, right? So any offers, let me let me know. Send your CV. I'll get it looked at. Let me grab a drink. We're good to go. Kieran here as well. Fuck's sake. There goes the stream, right? There goes the neighbourhood now. I thought we had avoided being infiltrated from Kieran Martin here. Troublemaker, man. Honestly, him and Ulick on the naughty step already. Shock horror. So we're good to go. So yeah, I'd have been what 1 year old, just over a year when Lockerbie took place. And even when I think back to growing up, wait a second, 2 secs. There we go. We're back. Sorry. Yeah, so even when I was growing up, I can't remember ever hearing about it. And I stay in Scotland. Wait, do I stay in Scotland? I do. Okay. Yeah, I do. Stay in Scotland. Scotland. For the life of me, I can't, man. Thinking back, racking my brain. The other day, I was going to do this stream on Monday. And then I thought, wait, I'll make an intro and give it a bit more time and we'll do it on Wednesday. And I still never got to making an intro. But I thought, hey, I can't put it off again. I can't. Growing up, so 1 years of age when it happened, growing up in the 90s, did I hear about it? I can't recall ever hearing about it. I mean, you'd think you'd remember the first time kind of maybe hearing about it, but if you've got if you've got a memory like me, maybe not. What did I do yesterday? Don't ask. So it was later in life when the whole situation I remember with McGrahy, and he got arrested in Libya, took him to the UK to go to court and get, sent to prison. And I remember thinking, I bet you McGrahy's not even in jail. But I spoke to the guy, Chris, and he said that he did see McGrahy in the jail. I thought Chris might have known people, and he probably does, who's either seen McGrahy. But as far as I could gather, he was treated like I don't know, first class, world class prisoner, which is weird. I think they played a lot on, he's not well, he's got cancer. Because one guy said McGrahy got, most people you get one jail cell, but he got two. So it was two converted into one. And it's like, why? So I don't know. It looks like he was in the jail. Part of me thought he probably wouldn't even be in the jail. But if you ask me, it wasn't McGrahy that done it. Similar to the whole Bin Laden and the Al Qaeda done it in 9/11. It wasn't them. They never done it. Same here. McGrahy never done it, man. He never done it. I don't know if he was even a real fucking person. And by that I mean, was he being played by some kind of actor? Honestly. You really got to wonder about these individuals they put forward as a so-called, I guess, a patsy. He was a patsy. And what kind of plays? For me, there's no question that he was a patsy. What I sort of dwell on with that is, did he know he was a patsy? Did he know he was fulfilling this role, this part? Or did he not know? That's the sort of weird shit that keeps me awake at night. Fucking hell. Yeah, you could probably turn that into a meme, a meme. Yeah, that's I don't know. It's hard to put yourself in the shoes of these individuals. But that was the first time I kind of looked in. Well, I was hearing about it a lot more because McGrahy got put to prison. A lot of people felt he was innocent as well. Personally, of course, because he was a patsy. He was the patsy in it, for sure. Who done it? That's another question. Libyan terrorists? I doubt it very much. Al-Qaeda? Let's not even get started. The Russians? No chance. The Americans and the British? Well, now then. There's a thought, right? But no, they wouldn't do that to their own people. Yeah. I guess maybe in 1988, you might have got away with saying that, or they wouldn't do that. Today, after 9/11, and everything else that we've seen, pandemic, anybody? Lockdown, anybody? Businesses closed everywhere. They wouldn't do that to the people. What would it take, man, for people to wake up and see that the government would turn you over in the blink of an eye? Like that. At the drop of a hat. They would rob you. They would steal your insides. And they pretty much do in Scotland. They do. Because as a resident of Scotland, you're automatically enrolled into an organ donor program. So if you somehow end up brune breed and you've reached the pearly gates, they're going to cut you open and give your organs away. Where they're going to go, hey, don't even ask, man. I dread to imagine. And of course, like most things, it begins with good intentions. Oh, the guy died, so they took an organ and done a procedure, a transplant, and a guy's life got saved. I mean, that is a good thing. It's hard to knock that. It's like, well, yeah, okay. But is that all that's going on? Do you know, you hear a lot about harvesting organs and stuff like that. And as far as I can see, I'm not no expert on it, but the kind of market is gigantic. It's like a multi-billion-dollar, pound even, industry. It's kind of not even seen by most people, if not fucking everybody. It's like hidden. It's like the dark market, maybe, would be an idea, a word for it. But it's gigantic. It's like an industrial complex, similar to, I think Richie Allen, someone on the show, talked about the immigration situation. That's become an industrial complex. It's a well-oiled machine now, and people are making money from it. And the more money that gets made, the bigger fish, the bigger piranhas that are attracted to it. They're wanting a piece of it. The mafia, the Russian mafia, the American mafia, the Mexican mafia. They're all wanting a piece of the pie now. And I would probably agree with that, to be honest. Where that's going to end, probably not in a good way. Not in a good way. I mean, that's pretty much a guarantee. But that's for another night, for the time being, and all that situation. But it is one that we'll get into. Yeah, it deserves it. It deserves to be talked. Probably get a strike. Probably get booted off YouTube. Shock horror. So I want to kind of touch base and mention a few bits in particular. So Lockerbie plane crash, also known as the Pan AM Flight 103 bombing. Some people do call it that. The Pan Am Flight 103 bombing. I refer to it as Lockerbie, kinda in memory of the town of Lockerbie, the people, rather than Pan Am Flight 103. Because it devastated Lockerbie. It devastated them. And what some of them residents had to see, man. Honestly. It's hard to even imagine. There's some of the people that got interviewed said, and we will get into it, but they were talking about how they went into their garden. They heard all the commotion, it all happened. They went into the field and they were just seeing people. There was like a person just lying there. Like they hadn't even been in an accident. Their whole body intact. Just lying on the field. And it's like, fucking hell. I think one guy in his seat, still strapped in his seat. And I mean, the wreckage for a plane that's been blew up and then crashed. The wreckage is phenomenal. And when you compare it to, for example, the Shanksville incident on 9/11, I mean, there is no comparison. There is no comparison whatsoever, man. And when you compare it, you can clearly see that an aircraft did not crash at Shanksville. No way, man. Not a hope. No way. Not even a small aircraft. So again, I mean, it makes me, the sort of stuff I've looked at with 9/11 and Lockerbie, there's a lot that rings similar. And I think that is kind of telling, to be honest. It's like, here we go again, right? Yeah, a bit of a dummy run maybe for the upcoming events of 9/11. But I mean, anytime I think of a similarity, I'll point it out. Excuse me if I don't burp. So we'll point out a few stats and figures and facts, if you can call them that. So some people call it that. The typical story, again, similar to 9/11, or a guy that gave up his seat on like last minute. Oh, I'm not gonna go. You can have the seat. And then he's sitting at home like, fucking hell, I'd have been on that plane. And we had that a lot with the Twin Towers. In particular, one story I remember. And it was like the next day, man. It was like within a week, I'm sure. Within a week, the newspaper had a big story talking about, I slept in. I stayed up late watching football on TV. And I slept in. And I was late for work. But because of that, I did not die in 9/11. And it was like a big story, like it's big news. And yeah, I just find that absurd, man. It's like, that's not even a story. It is a story, but it's not newsworthy. I mean, yeah, the guy should probably count as blessings, but it wasn't meant to be for him. His time will come. He won't evade it forever. That's for sure. None of us do. Not that we want to. But I remember even then thinking as a young teenager, how was that a story? How was that news? I mean, I understand it's something for him to be grateful, but what about the people who have died? What about their families? Why should they be reading that when their son or daughter does not come home, won't be coming home, and they've got to read that and see that? I mean, for me, it's like, it's wrong, man. It should not be done. But hey, the media I guess, what do we expect from the media? That's the type of them. They're rotten, man. I'm trying my best not to swear. This is a clean stream. No swearing, right? I know I've swore already, but I'll try my best. It can be hard. Swearing is a common thing for Scottish people. What, you've not noticed? So, not that everybody in Scotland swears. I don't know, actually. There's an idea, a question. I think most people, 98% of people in Scotland swear, right? So, don't hold it against me. But do know that I'm trying not to. And it's like Mission Impossible. Oh, Toffee's here as well. Good to see you, Toffee. And Sheila in the hood. Yeah, a couple of days before. Yeah, heartbreaking that. And I mean, it's not the same, but when I got run over, I was only 6. And it was 2 days before Christmas, 1994. And yeah, that was tough, man. But hey, still here today. I evaded it for the time being. But yeah, we're still going. So good to see Sheila and Frank in the hood as well. Good to see you, Frank. Frank Barron, the Irish Frank, not the English Frank. So good to see everyone. Kieran, Justine, Carmel, Mark. I'll try and keep an eye on the comments. You might hear my dog snoring. It's not me. It's not me, right? He's fucking snoring now. I thought he was doing a stream. A sleeping stream. So he's in the land of Nod. I always wonder, what is he dreaming about? Do you know when they're dreaming and they start kicking and running in their dream, in their sleep? And it's like, what the hell is he thinking about? Yeah, I wonder. Weird. I mean, what makes up a dream? Is it thoughts that you've already had? Is it thoughts that you've not had but are in your mind? I don't know. Is it future thoughts? That's another one that could be an interesting topic for another time. But good to see everyone. Frank in the hood as well. Great stuff. So let me jump back. Why is it not working now? Yeah, cats are funny. My cat, although the cat that I've got now, it doesn't tend to dream very much. Not that I've seen. She's quite a Scotty cat. she's a bit scatty, to be polite, but she's been through lost a kitten at birth and then a kitten that got run over, and that kind of, she wasn't the same from the one she lost at birth. Yeah, heartbreaking that was, man. But it's a risk that you run when you get pets. So, I mean, they can be so loving and even considerate and compassionate, but there could come a day where they depart, and it rips the heart right out you, man. It genuinely does, and you only know if you've had it, and I'd imagine people here, we share that certain grief, if you like. Because even when I was growing up, I thought, oh, but if you lose a dog, it's a dog. Or if you lose a cat, it's a cat. But even from a young age, it was like, nah, it's not. You still lose an entity that you care for and love. And it can be a kick in the stones, man. In fact, more than one kick in the stones. It's like a whole town lining up to kick you in the stones each day, just to remind you, right? So it can be. And I've said that because I know a guy who's thinking about getting a dog. And I've said, I mean, It's a tough one, to be honest. But I always do try and point out, well, it can be, I mean, it can be good, but there can be a downside to it. Which probably goes without saying, to be honest. I probably shouldn't even bring that up. Why'd you bring that up? You've ruined it now, right? And but yeah, I think overall I would advise people to get a pet. If you've never had a pet before, start small. Maybe, I don't know, a guinea pig. They're quite cool actually. Or a rabbit. A rabbit would be cool. A cat. Cats are great. Some of them can be quite, in terms of care. Obviously, you've got the vet side of it, but you just let them out and they do their own thing. But with a dog, different story. Although some cats are they can be more house cats. That our cat's a bit like that. Most cats I had throughout my life, they're not house cats, but this one is. She is definitely likes to stay in, but she does go out. She does go out, does her business, and goes out at weird times as well. But she likes to stay in. She's a great cat. So yeah, a pet stream would be cool. I know Toffee would be a good shout to get on that, and I think Joni as well. Maybe any animal people out there, because I know Rags have done a dog stream. Maybe it could be more an animal focused stream rather than just the dogs. Cats' lives matter, right? Cat lives matter. Hey, let's not give them ideas. Yeah, probably not a good idea. So you tend to get that quite a lot. It is recorded as the worst terrorist attack in the UK. Which, yeah. If you asked people a question, what's the worst attack in the UK, would they get it? I don't know, man. I think a lot of people would probably get it wrong. Oh, 7/7, or I don't know. What's another one? London Bridge attack. Yeah, I think maybe a lot of young people wouldn't get it was Lockerbie. They'd be like, Waterby? The what now? Where? Where's Scotland? Oh, right, I get you. Southport, yeah, people might say that. Younger people. Yeah, that would be cool. We'll get Joni on because I know Joni's got a pet called Ulick that she looks after. So, so I think that might be including the ducks as well, of course. So, I'm sorry, Ulick. I couldn't resist. So, yeah, I think that would be good. Maybe maybe we'll see the end of the month. Maybe we could fit it in then. I'll think about it, right? I'll sleep on it tonight on my good side, and then we'll take it from there. So yeah, I don't know. It's I feel like it's deliberately pushed away. Like, no, don't think about Lockerbie. Just to leave it in the past. Nobody wants you digging it up. And yeah, I kind of get that feeling. Maybe they're doing that with 9/11 now as well. Do you know a lot of the younger people that what the hell's the Twin Towers? The Penta what? Bin who? So maybe that. And I mean, it's quite incredible to think such an event can be sort of pushed away, almost hidden, tucked under the fucking the carpet. But I think it is, man. It is. And I think they done it with Lockerbie. And I think we are now, 24 years later from 9/11. I think it is being kind of pushed to one side. Like, hey, don't Don't dig it up. Don't go there. Right? Don't do your own research. That's what they would tell you. No, it's not a good idea, man. Just get your information from the BBC, CNN, fact checkers, right? The fact checkers. I mean, fuck. Honestly, that is enough to make me swear. These fact checking entities. Don't get me started. So, yeah, what we saying? 270 fatalities. So 259 on board. That's a lot of people on board, right? And 11 on the ground. Yeah. I kind of get the feeling you almost expect more people on the ground to be dead. 11 on the ground. Because it took out like a whole street of houses, man. 11, yeah, maybe that's not too low of a number, thinking about it. 259 on the plane. That's a lot of folk, right? Or am I just imagining that? I mean, how many people do you tend to get on a flight? The only aircrafts I've been on have been relatively small. And when I came back from Norway, I seen the aeroplane and I was like, that can't be it. It was like a tin can with wings on it. I thought, nah, come on. Because I was already a bit anxious. And we're walking towards this plane. Looks like it got put together on a, I don't know, Blue Peter. And I thought, nah, that can't be it, man. But it was fine. It was hey, totally fine. But because in my head, I thought a big plane. I mean, not that it fucking makes any difference, to be honest. If you go down, you're going down. But I did, it was one of these where you're walking towards it and I'm thinking, how big is this plane? Is that it? Honestly, it was like, I think about 12 people on it was on that flight. 259 is broke down to 7 times 11. 7 plus 11. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of people, right? Oh, yeah, Snoops. Who can forget Snoops? I remember when they came out as well. Oh, man. I think it would have been in like 2020. They started with the fact checking. It's because of Frank. Because of all the stuff Frank was putting out. I mean, it's quite comical, the fact checkers, man. We could probably do a whole stream on them. And it would probably get a strike. So yeah, that was the flight from Norway to Scotland, oh my god, man. Beautiful. Just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Although, the closer when I got to Aberdeen, it's like, ugh. Seeing see, there's a place in Aberdeen, I think it's called Tillydrone in Torry. And it's like just poverty-stricken housing schemes. I'm sure it's Torry you can see coming into the airport, and it's like, oh my god, we're home again, back to Scotland. Because in Norway, it's like, oh man, beautiful. And then Scotland, it's like, yikes. Totally bigging Scotland up. I thought he was Scottish. Hey, only when I want to be, right? Only when I want to be. Of course, I couldn't claim to be anything else but Scottish. So I guess it's a curse, right? It's a curse. So we'll jump. Let me see. A better. Oh, you've got 2 guinea pigs and 2 rabbits. Wow. So you're definitely kept busy. We did have guinea pigs in Yeah, I think in the end, both of them, they didn't live very long. It's going to sound terrible, this, but they didn't. And I think it was due to me. Uh, I kept them outside mostly. I mean, I looked after them, but we had a really cold snap, and I thought, oh, bugger. And I think I'd been away. So I wasn't like taking them in sometimes. And then I found them, and they had passed away, and I was gutted, man. Even gutted with that, the 2 wee guinea pigs. I never had them for long. And it was I mean, I had so much going on at the time. So I guess the moral to that story is, look, be sure, be sure you've got the capability to look after these animals. But the guinea pigs, they're quite wild as well. The ones I had, they were quite wild. I kind of thought maybe they beat each other up because I think they were related, but they didn't seem to get on. And I probably should have done a lot more research on them. But yeah, I've always wondered maybe get them again and just keep them indoors. Because I mean, it's too cold. It's too cold, especially up here, in which is basically Norway. Shock horror. So let me just we'll jump. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat. Yeah, well, tell us something we don't know, Carmel. Is that your Chinese? What do they call it? It's not zodiac, is it? Just your Chinese animal. Do people know what they are? What am I again? I don't think it's the rat, thankfully. I think it might be the rabbit. And I remember there's a local Chinese takeaway, and they always dropped off. They put through your door a Chinese calendar. Like, you know, I'm Scottish, right? Nearly called myself British. Fucking hell. Oh, me. Nearly. Not quite. But hey, what the heck? Chinese calendar, right? Put it up, and it would show you what animal you would be depending on the year you were born. How they work it out, look, don't get me started. I don't know. They ask, I don't know, Buddha. He tells them. They rub Buddha's belly, and then he comes with an answer. But yeah, I'm sure it's the rabbit. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be the rat, to be honest, or the snake. That's too. I tend to think, no, stay away. You've exposed yourself, Carmel. Making that what you want. So it's, yeah, the rabbit. Mind you, a rabbit, is that a good one? Probably not, to be honest. But hey, it's a load of nonsense anyway. I don't buy it. Similar to Zodiac. I mean, I can see the interest, to be fair, but hey, you die if you do, and you die if you don't, right? So there we go. All the best news here. So yeah, 270 in total. So that's nearly 300 people killed. Probably similar to, I don't know, 9/11. Probably not far away. Of course, that would be, I think they say 3,500. I mean, it's a hard one to conclude, but I reckon we're talking between 800 to 1,000 people maximum. I don't know where they're getting 3,500 from. And of course, the original stories, 10,000 people, 100 million billion thousand people died. Oh, wait, it's 3,500. Because when you look at how many people actually went to work that day in the towers, a lot of them they were still on their way to work, so they hadn't even got there. Not only that, most of the people got evacuated. from both of the towers. The majority of people that got left were the firefighters. So the people, the jumpers, and the people on the very top, I can't see that being like 2,000 people. I just can't. I could be wrong. Hey, don't get me wrong, I could be wrong, but I just can't see it. I cannot see it. I reckon you'd be pushed to say even 1,000 people. But of course, the official story is 3,500, and I'm not allowed to argue with that. Oh, no. So, if the official story tells you it's true, right? That's it. There's no debate. There's no debate. So, anything I said before that is purely opinion. Don't fucking shoot me down, YouTube. Because I know they're just waiting to. Right, he said it. Press the button. Take him down. Oh yeah, we're on a. I noticed as well. We had 2 videos that done like 20 and 40,000 views, and loads of subscribers from there. Another video that's failing me. Not as many views, but as much subs. And then I noticed since, when would it have been? The end of the year, last year, we've went from going up to going down. So we're going down now. We're on the way down. That's it. We peaked. We're finished. We peaked. And now we're on the slippery slope all the way down, probably. So, but yeah, hey, people share it out from time to time. And it's one of these channels where, without sounding fucking big-headed, it's quite unique in terms of what it covers, and it's definitely not catered to the masses. It's simply not. I mean, if it was, the topics we've covered, we probably wouldn't even have covered. So it's kind of unique in the sense of it just won't. It's not catered to the masses and the trending viral fucking sphere. It's more catered to, well, the people that are here right now. And I feel that's got a more personal. I don't know how to explain it. I'm fucking terrible, man. It's like an attachment in a community where it's not for everyone, but the people that are part of it, they enjoy it, they like it, they feel at home, they can talk about stuff similar. So, yeah, it's unique, right? And no one's taking that away. YouTube might, though. To be fair, they've done it before, and hey, fuck it. We don't have to go through all that again. Of course, they deleted it once, got it back, deleted it again, got it back again. Will they delete it again? Who knows, man? Who knows? If I was to bet on it, I'd probably say yeah, they will. Going by their history. So, hey, if you're here for the time being, enjoy it, because the way YouTube are, it won't be here forever. And I'll still continue to make content. I mean, I'm nobody, but I enjoy making it. So I'm going to continue. It's not like, oh, I'm on a mission and fucking you get all the truth here and subscribe for the truth, right? All that fucking nonsense. I enjoy making content. I enjoy speaking about the topics that we get into, usually. So through that, the enjoyment, I'll continue. Nothing else really matters, to be honest. In terms of subscribers, people, what have you. But they make it, the people do make it that bit better. So it's a part. The people that come are a big part of it for me. And it's grew. It's a relationship that's blossomed since the end of when it began 2019. And when I think back, we've been through so much, man. It's like, Jesus, thinking back, it's like, wow. And I would never have imagined in a million years at the end of 2019, sitting on like 14 subscribers, that we'd be where we are today. And I think the best part for me, and it's going to sound a bit fucking cheesy, but the best part for me is honestly you people. Because a lot of the times we can, well, speaking for myself, you kind of feel like you're on your own. And like nobody gets it or nobody quite understands. Like you're putting it together. But people here tend to be of a kind of similar, I don't know, wavelength, maybe we could call it. And I think that's played a bigger part in me staying for the 5 years that we've been together, right? We're in our 5th year relationship now. So it's like, yeah, I cannot stress enough how important that's been in terms of keeping me content with the content. So it's like, yeah, I tend to maybe not mention, but I am very grateful to everybody. And I mean, even the people who, when they could contribute financially, they did. And the fact that people were willing to contribute in a financial way, it blew me away, man. That blows me away. And it was a small band of hardy, real hardy, hardcore Talbanoki content supporters. And I'm very grateful to everybody. And like I said, we've been through a long journey. So we keep it going, right? We keep it going. And like I always say, we do not bend, we do not break. We just keep going. Hey, what's going to be is going to be. Did I see Paul there? He's on. He is on thin ice tonight. He's heading for a time. He's worse than Kieran. Worse than you, man. He's worse than them both. He's like the evil one. Nah, I'm joking. Paul's good. Paul's a good man. Yeah. Not many like Paul out there, to be honest. He knows his stuff, our Irish brother. So I've got a lot of time for Paul. And do you know, people tend to never agree on very much half of the time. But I think me and Paul tend to agree with mostly just about everything that Paul said in the past. And he probably disagrees with everything that I've said. But that's life, right? Hey, but not as we know it. Oh, is Johnny in the hood as well? Good to see you, Johnny. Johnny was on a Zachary Hubbard stream on Gematria News, I think. And yeah, that was a good stream. I watched it, checked it out. And I think I shared it so people can find it on the community post, community area, the community zone, right? On the channel. So you can find it there and go and give Johnny a bit of support and get subscribed to Johnny's channel. A great guy with a lot of knowledge. I think that's pretty clear. Speaks very well, comes across very well, very polite. Again, very knowledgeable guy. But more than that, open as well. Open to discussion, open to having thoughts or theories questioned. And I think that's great. Can I say that about myself? I don't know. Hey, I'll let you decide, right? I'll let you decide. So it's great to see Johnny and Paul as well. We're blessed to have Paul in tonight, at least until he does a runaway. Out the door. Good to see everyone. Are we still okay for audio? Folk are going to be saying, "Fuck, when is the guy starting?" Oh, we started yet? We kind of have officially started, right? So yeah, we're cooking by gas, and I think we did. The audio was okay at the start, but it's good just now. Cool, ideal. I don't know what you're saying, Jerry. Eh, Jerry, traitor, man, absolute traitor. How could you? And I thought he was loyal, man, loyal to the cause. Shocking. And even came in to say that you wouldn't be here last time. Just came in to rub salt in the wounds. Just disappointed, man. Let down. We're all good. Thank you, Sheila and Frank and Justine. I think Ross is about. Are you there, Ross? You're wanted. Ross is being summoned. Ross is a good laugh as well. Another good Scottish guy. So yeah, I'll try my best. We'll keep an eye on the chat. Poetry night. Yeah, there's an idea. Yeah, that would be a stream. That. Yeah, I'll get Paul on. Maybe the guy Mars Bar. He can do a couple of poems. Although I've not seen him about. I don't know. People tend to come and go in these different circles, which is, yeah, hey, each to their own, right? You've got to do what you've got to do. So, yeah, that's a lot of people on the aircraft as well. A teddy bear that got found in the debris. Again, that's similar to 9/11. All we found, look at this, the guy's wallet, or what did they find? Passports. I wonder, I've not seen any mention of passports that got found on Lockerbie. So that's one that we might look up, because we know how indestructible these passports can be. Although this is 1988, maybe it was different material. Maybe it wasn't titanium passports from the 9/11, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this one, there's similarities again. It's not a passport, but we will touch on it, and you'll probably understand where the kind of similarity comes in with the Twin Towers, 9/11, the so-called hijacking. We've got a bomb. Do you know the audio? That was meant to ask Mark about that audio as well. With 9/11, kind of going off topic here, but I mean, I really do question the legitimacy of the audio. And I think if you were to analyse the audio, scrutinise it professionally, I think it might tell you that it's not on an aircraft. I could be wrong though. Which means, was there even an aircraft? I really don't know. This is what I mean. It's like a gigantic can of worms when you start looking at the plane hijacking situation. It's like, right, where do you start? There's Ross in the hood, loud and clear. Maybe he's a bit behind. Join the crew. So good to see you, Ross. I'll try and keep an eye. Tight Scotsman as well. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat. But hey, I'm terrible. I am hopeless, man. Hopeless. Tell us something we don't know, right? So there's another kind of common thread, theme. The horror number. Some believe Flight 103 had an eerie connection to numerology as 1 + 3 equals... Shit, what is that again? 4. Right? Which in some Asian cultures is considered an unlucky number associated with death. Yeah. I mean, I guess some people would say, well, that's a coincidence. But is there such a thing? I mean, it's not one I would look too much into. But it's kind of fitting, right? A presidential tie-in. A future US president, Donald Trump, owned a house in Lockerbie at the time of the crash. Well, it's a pity he wasn't fucking in it. Ah, man. I'm here all week. Yeah. Did I know about that? I don't think I did. I know he claims, anyway, his mother came from, was it Orkney or Skye? But seemingly he had a house in Lockerbie. So I thought that was quite interesting. Yeah, it's one of these nuggets where it's like, Trump's house, right? Okay. Mystery of the Harrington jacket. Harrington jacket. A fragment. Now this is, I mean, it's quite comical, to be honest. So a fragment of Harrington jacket was crucial in tracing the bomb's origin, leading investigators to Libyan intelligence. Oh man. Fuck. Honestly. Wow. So, yeah. Wait, Libyan intelligence? Since when? I'm going to be branded a racist now. What's he saying about the Libyans? Libyan intelligence. So, yeah. So what are we talking about here? The Libyan CIA, the Libyan terrorist, a Libyan terrorist network cell. So a teeny weeny fragment of a jacket, a bit of fibre, not even DNA, not a fingerprint, nothing, a fragment of a fibre is evidence. I mean, that is astonishing in my view, to be honest. And a Harrington jacket, what is that, like a Harris tweed jacket? I mean, is there only one in the world? And what, it was bought by a fucking Libyan terrorist in a different country, and he traced it back. A fragment. I mean, I just find that absurd, man. How does that stand up? I mean, it just can't. I just find that comical, man. A fragment. A woman's promotion that a plane would explode over Scotland. So basically the woman this lady had a dream, not a dream, a nightmare. And in the nightmare, a plane crashed. Well, exploded over Scotland. And she had it just a few days before. Do you know what? I think that's probably true. And I think that would have been maybe due to some form of conditioning. So I wonder what sort of predictive programming we could find on the sort of build up to the years leading up to the Lockerbie crash. how many people have looked at that. I mean, you hear a lot about 9/11, but this tends to be avoided. Because I could almost guarantee it will be there. And if this person's had a dream, my view would be it's due to the maybe even subliminal predictive programming. I mean, how would you combat that? I mean, I guess you can stay away from the TV and the media full stop, but I mean, we talk about predictive programming with the stuff that we can see. Imagine the stuff that we can't see. Because we all know about, they'd put frames in the film and it would show up at such a speed. You don't even pick it up, but your mind picks it up. I mean, how do you combat that? So, because when it comes to these, I had a dream and I seen it and blah, blah, it's like, yeah, what was you smoking? But I buy that. I can buy this. I can buy it. That I can buy. And for them reasons, which I just stated, Sylvia Topping. Sylvia Topping? What is she, a cake dressing? So, hey, I'm here all week, right? Totally wasted here, man. She's a nickname cake dressing. Sylvia Topping. Yeah, I might have to look that up. Let me take a note. Where's my clipboard? There we go. Sylvia Topping, eh? I wonder where Sylvia is today. There we go. Because I'm going to look her up. And do you know what? Sort of away from the mic there. There we go. Do you know what I would like to do? Get an eyewitness and interview them from Lockerbie. So this is a shout, a call out to any Lockerbeians, Lockerbie'ites out there. I mean, they'll never hear this call, to be honest. But I think I might know people who possibly might know someone who was there. So the hope is, when we cover this again in the future, I can maybe get someone on who was actually there on the day. I think that would be pretty cool. So yeah, that one I can kind of buy, to be honest. In terms of numbers and stats, so seemingly 747 square miles. The debris was scattered over this vast area, including pieces in England and Northern Ireland. 747 square miles. I mean, that's a humongous area. Enormous. I mean, it is an enormous area that for debris to be scattered. And again, I think back to even the Twin Towers. What did they say? 2 blocks away, debris. And I mean, the crash is not the same, but again, Shanksville, the debris was in like a small area. There was no, we found it 100 miles away. There was none of that. And again, it just makes me think of Shanksville. And it makes me more certain that a plane never went down at Shanksville. 88. Interesting numbers as well, right? 88 Americans died, including 35 Syracuse University students returning home for Christmas. Nightmare. One seat, row 53, seat K, kick and K, was found intact nearly 80 miles from the main crash site. The guy sitting in his seat. 80 miles away, in his seat. Body completely intact. In his seat, man. 80 miles away from where it crashed. I mean, that is astonishing, man. Astonishing. I mean, where's all the seats at Shanksville? Where's the seats from the Twin Towers? 2 flights. Remember, this plane blew up in the air. It blew up. It lit up the whole fucking sky. Then it came down, crashed into a petrol station and a housing scheme. Yet the debris remaining from the aircraft is astonishing, man. Truly astonishing. And when you compare it to Shanksville, there is no comparison. So, I forget we might get the guy's name. I did have it. Only, it says here, only one passenger's body remained completely intact due to their seat position. From what I can see, that's not true. That can't be true. Not going by what's said by the eyewitnesses who were there on the day. Because they describe a lot more. I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but they describe a lot more than one person lying dead, intact, body intact. The dog agrees. He's going to go on a mad dream now. Oh, Norman's here. Good to see you, Norman. In the hood, I hope you're doing well. In South Africa. Why did that? Oh, there it goes. I don't know what, the computer's being weird, man. Oh, is that Paul away, is it? Oh, yeah, in and out, then away. There you go. Yep, he's away to join a what happened there? Oh, dear. We seem to be... I think we might have hit a nerve. YouTube's not liking it. It's like, no. He's talking too much. Tell us something we don't know, right? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Something's going on with the screen. Why is it doing that? Is it the Wi-Fi? Is it me? It's always me, right? Let me see if I can fix it. Because there appears to be a bit of an issue. Shock horror. I think we're okay. I'll try and keep an eye, because it comes up, oh, there's Wi-Fi issue. And it comes up a wee box in the corner, almost. And it's like, yeah. But I think we're okay. I think we could be okay. It's just here. Why is that not showing up? Oh, there we go. So yeah, I disagree. I think there's a lot more than one person. It took 3 minutes, seemingly, it took 3 minutes and 35 seconds for the plane to hit the ground after the explosion. So nearly 4 minutes. It was falling from the sky. I find that quite incredible. I guess if it's blown into 2 bits, then yeah, it might sort of spiral down to the ground rather than a kind of nosedive, whew, straight down. It's hard to kind of imagine, right? But I kind of find that hard to buy. 3 minutes and 35 seconds from the explosion till it hit the ground. I don't know. I'd like to see how they work that out. Because there's no Mayday, which is another interesting thing that's spoken about. No Mayday call, just nothing. The government put up a $10 million reward. Ooh. For information leading to the bombers. I wonder if anybody got that reward. That might be worth checking out. So I wanted to a wee bit more on the investigation. So the wreckage spread. Here it reckons over 845 square miles, which is even bigger. The crash site extended across Lockerbie, Scotland, with debris even found in England and Northern Ireland, which is mind-blowing. I mean, how does that even happen? Investigators, they reassembled the aircraft to determine the cause. They meticulously done it, reassembled it. I mean, yeah, it's quite incredible to think there was so much of the aeroplane remaining, they fucking reassembled it. Yet in the 9/11 scenario, nah, forget it, not happening. I mean, could you imagine them trying to reassemble it from 9/11? It would be the strangest plane ever. All these random plane parts that don't even match up. That's what it would be. And that's probably why they never bothered. Quite incredible. There is pictures as well that we can look at. Which are quite interesting. Explosion, origin. Why is this being an absolute bell end? Is there... I'm sure there's writing there, but I can't bloody see it. Honestly. We might come back to that. The Harrington jacket. Investigators discovered a tiny fragment of clothing. Which led them to a shop in Malta called Mary's House. The shopkeeper, Tony, recalled selling the clothes to a man later linked to Libyan intelligence. Right. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Mary's House. The suitcase containing the bomb was loaded in Malta, transferred through Frankfurt, and placed on Pan Am Flight 103 in London. So, well travelled then, right? I mean, I guess, yeah, 1988. I still find it hard to buy. It's like, what, no matter what or where it went, this so-called bomb, it was undetected by everybody. Yeah. It had no accompanying passenger, so it was unattended completely. I mean, how does that even work? It had no accompanying passenger, raising questions about lax baggage security at the time. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, it's like, surely somebody would have picked up on it. It probably had bomb written on it as well. Oh, it had bomb written on it, and we found the fragment of the word B, which bomb begins with B, so, you know, Libyans. The story's just, it's weird, man. It's weird and strange and very, it raises so many questions. Oh, this one as well is a cracker. So the timer fragment, another fragment, and there's even a picture of it, which is quite funny. It's like not even got smoke damage or anything. This teeny wee fucking, like it's off a motherboard. What do you call it? One of them motherboards. You can tell I'm very tech savvy, right? So a timer, and they reckoned it's a fragment from a timer. Oh man. So a matchbox-sized timer fragment, MST13, was found in the wreckage. Forensic experts traced it back to a Swiss company, Mebo, M-E-B-O, a Swiss company, wink wink, which had supplied timers to Libyan intelligence. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. What you selling them Libyans? Oh, it's just bomb timers. Yeah, okay. Is that a good idea? Hey, what do we care? We're only Swiss. We yodel and eat, I don't know, Toblerone. Is that from Switzerland? Totally, yeah, that's my Swiss knowledge. Swiss roll, maybe. There you go. The flag's a big plus. I know that much. So yeah, I found that quite interesting. This Swiss company. In fact, I'm going to take a note. My pencil of the company. Mebo. Swiss company. Yeah, because I want to look at that a wee bit more. I mean, timers for what? Just a timer for anything? Key suspects and Libyan connection. A Libyan intelligence officer later convicted for the bombing in 2001. So that's when I first heard about it. Same year as 9/11. Interesting that. Interesting. He was accused of placing the bomb in Malta before it made its way onto Pan AM 103. I mean, it sounds like the guy just went into an airport in Malta, put his suitcase on a conveyor belt and left it, and somehow it ended up over Lockerbie, and it blew up. I mean, I don't know, man. I really find it hard to buy this suitcase story and the evidence in regards to the fragment and the fragment of clothing. I mean, surely finding that fragment of clothing and all that wreckage and debris, and it's an enormous amount. It'd be like a needle in a haystack. In fact, you would have a better chance of finding a needle in a haystack. But they just so happened to find it and managed to trace it back. A fragment that could have came from fucking anywhere. I mean, it's a setup, right? It's a setup. And the more I look into it, the more I think, do you know what? I think the guy Dean Warwick is right. Because there appears to be a cover-up. But the question would be, why is there a cover-up? And it's got to be one or the other. It's got to be either it got shot down, or it did blow up due to a bomb on board, but it wasn't McGrahy that put it there. Where would I lean? I would lean towards what Dean Warwick said, to be honest. And I'll tell you, I'll expand on that a wee bit more. So McGrahy, going into the trial, McGrahy was sentenced to life in prison, but released in 2009 on compassionate grounds due to cancer. And remember, I mentioned before, the Scottish government came out and said, oh, he's going to die. He's got like 3 days to live. He's going to die. And he lived for about 4 years. I think it was like 4 years after. He was still alive. And it's like, thought he was going to die. But they released McGrahy before he was due to get his appeal. And I can guarantee you the reason he got released is because the appeal, he would have won it. And because the evidence does not stack up. He would have got thrown out, man. It should have been laughed out of court. And that would open another can of worms. Well, if McGrahy never done it, who the hell done it? But they wouldn't want you to question that, right? They wouldn't want you to go thinking it wasn't McGrahy. So, in terms of where I'm at, the official narrative, I don't buy it. How it came down, I would probably lean towards what Dean said, but I couldn't be 100% sure. At this particular moment, at least, right? So, yeah, 2021, McGrahy's family and some experts still claim his conviction was flawed. Excuse me. His conviction was flawed, and new investigations continue. And I would not be surprised if they came out and the guy got some kind of pardon. I mean, he's dead now, but his family, I'm not surprised they're not letting it go. Because I wouldn't be. If I was McGrahy's family, I'd be saying, wait a minute here. Who are you trying to kid, right? So there could be more to come from it. Some believe Iran ordered the bombing. So, Iran done it is another theory that got thrown about. So some believe Iran ordered the bombing in retaliation for the US shooting down Iran Air Flight 655 in July 1988. And to be honest, I don't even think I've heard about that. I don't even think I've heard about that flight the Americans seemingly shot down. That might be worth looking into. Another theory, interesting one, is a theory that suggests the bomb was placed inside a suitcase used by drug smugglers, allegedly protected by US intelligence. So, CIA drug smuggling, a cover-up in regards to that. I wouldn't rule that out, to be honest. I would not rule that out. But it's one of these incidents where so much more came of it. And again, they do not miss a chance, man. They don't. Similar to 9/11, a lot came from it. Invasions here, invasions there, rules, regulations, here, there, freedoms taken away. You name it, and it ripples still today. And there is similarities when it comes to Lockerbie. So as much as I wouldn't rule CIA drug smuggling out, I think there's more to it than that. It doesn't mean that they've not killed a smuggler. I mean, what better way to get rid of evidence or someone who might stick you in the future, then just get rid of them completely. So there's no risk. And they do that quite a lot. People that work for them, when your day's done, your work's finished, they're not going to let you just go and work on Civvy Street and fucking tell the next Tom, Dick and Harry about about what you've been doing. They simply don't take the risk. Why take the risk when they can just see it off and eliminate any risk? They do that. And they do that for a lot less than me or you could ever imagine. Nobody gets in the way, man. Nobody. That's why a lot of people, they'll say certain individuals are fighting against. I think an example might be the guy Russell Brand. I mean, come on. Let's not even get started on that. So yeah, we didn't rule that out. And of course, security, similar to 9/11. Oh, we need tougher security. Take our freedoms now for security. Here, take everything, but make sure that I'm secure. Protect me. That's what it's like. Largest criminal investigation in British history. Wow. More than 15,000 witness statements. 180,000 pieces of evidence were examined. I wonder how many statements got taken for 9/11. And I wonder how many pieces of evidence there was. How many planes did they say crashed? 3 planes, 2 in the towers, 1 at Shanksville. Oh, 4, 1 at the Pentagon as well. So 4. And I could put my neck on the line here, right? But I bet you there's not even that many pieces of evidence for 9/11. But yet for Lockerbie, they've got nearly 200,000 bits of evidence and witness statements. Yeah, Russell Brand, right? William McGrahy. Do you know what was funny as well? This is like imprinted on my brain. McGrahy got released and they flew him back to Libya on a private jet, like a celebrity. And he got off and there was a big crowd of people and they were all waving Scotland flags. These Libyan fucking terrorists, yay, waving the Scotland flag. It's St Andrew's Cross, and it's like, what the is going on here? The heck, man? And I'll never forget that as imprinted on my brain. That it's like, what the heck? Because they were all celebrating the guy getting home, and I can remember at the time the Scottish government took quite a bit of stick. Because people were like, nah, you can't let him out. You can't let him out. But they did. But of course they had to. Because if the appeal came up, they would have been exposed. The evidence would have been exposed. And people would have said, again, well, if it's not McGrahy, who done it? Who done it? Iran? Russia? Probably not. Probably not. So we'll jump to, what are we, 2 hours? Probably another 2, to be honest. So, yeah, no bad news, but hey, what can you do, right? I'll show you quickly before we get into some video, audio, visual, because I'm a wee bit apprehensive about that. Just because if it's like lagging and just being an absolute pain in the backside. But basically the whole cockpit was pretty much intact. And the pilots were even like sitting in them. And there is, people did talk about when they took them out. In fact, it gets mentioned, I'm sure the person said the pilots their clothes had came off. And I don't know if I misheard it, man, but I'm sure they said they had no clothes on because of decompression. And I thought, wait, what? Their clothes came off. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what to make of that. But it's a grim kind of feeling to be thinking, going to a scene of the crime and pulling out these people from an aircraft. It's like, oh man, how haunting would that be? I mean, the incident itself is tragic, but then the people that have got to deal with it, man, I honestly, I don't think I could do it. I really don't. I remember being when I was younger, and I kind of thought about being in the fire brigade. And the older I got, I kind of thought, nah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I could be doing that. Dealing with potentially dead people and taking out dead bodies and bodies from cars and car accidents. And it's just, I honestly don't know how these people do it, man. Day in, day out for years as well. I mean, they're absolute warriors, heroes, them type of people, to be honest. I mean, yeah, naturally, you a lot of it would be instinct in a situation, but when it's your job and you're doing it on a daily basis, I just don't know how they can do it, man. I really don't. But yeah, well, I'll see if I can play that clip. But there you can see, and remember, we're talking about an aircraft that blew up in the sky, then fell to the sky, landed on the ground, like a concrete area, houses, petrol station, and still we get debris like this. Like half of it's kind of like half, right? Half of the cockpit totally intact, the nose out. And again, there was enough to, in their own words, reassemble the aircraft and do their quote unquote investigations, right? Which I think there might be an image. Look, you can see clothing and all sorts. People talked about toiletry items, toiletry bags, scattered about. Looks like a suitcase there. Maybe that was the suitcase with the bomb in it. Yeah. So there's a section of it, and the guy's investigating. There he is there, look. He's giving it, yeah, let me see. Yeah, this is not flying anymore. It's broken, mate. It's not going to pass its MOT. It's finished. And it's quite an astonishing piece. It baffles me, man. And I always, again, think about Shanksville and think, well, where's the debris? We got a tiny wee bit at Shanksville. Like a wee section of a window. And that was it. And then look at this, man. If you look here, kind of looked like almost like a hole, a blast hole, or an area that's been either blasted out or maybe even blasted in, like something's hit it. But this part here looks like it's been peeled back, bent back. And it just kind of caught my eye, this section. I thought that was interesting. I think it would be good to look at these reassembled photos a wee bit more. Do you know there's that much wreckage and parts that are intact? I kind of think, wait, and nobody survived? Not one person survived it. I mean, you could say, look, it blew up and then it hit the ground. What do you expect? But there's something in, I don't know what, if it's gut feeling, but something tells me that someone would have survived this. And that is something that the guy Dean Warwick talked about. And what he said was, to be honest, it was mind blowing when he talked about, because, and I mean, we're going out on a limb here, but from what Dean said, people did survive, but they then died later. They died later because they didn't want there to be any survivors. And I can't put any weight behind that, but I would not rule that out. And I think in Dean's case, he said basically a team of people went out as soon as it crashed and made sure there was no survivors. That would have had to have been pretty quick. In fact, it would have had to have been very quick because people were there straight away. I mean, they heard it. They the sky lit up at night, and they came out and were helping basically in the recovery, rescue and recovery at the time, probably. So the time frame between people on the scene is quite short. But in the second episode, we will look at what Dean said in a wee bit more detail. Because we're kind of just touching base. Can we call it that? Fuck it, we're going to call it that. We're touching base tonight. So that's interesting photo. Any other ones quickly before we move on? Oh, there's McGrahy. Oh yeah, he's dying. He's only got a day to live, so we're going to let him out. And then he's fucking partying it up in Libya, waving the Scotland flags and drinking the whiskey. There's one of the, well, I guess what's left of a house. Or part of a house. Why is it not working? It's not zooming in. Quite astonishing when you look at the debris. Kenny McCaskill, I think his name is. He's the guy that let McGrahy out. And look, if you look, even looking at his face there, he's like bemused, like, I'm just following orders. I've not got a clue what I'm doing. Oh, Smoke Steve in the hood. Good to see you, Steve. I hope you're doing well. Good man, Steve. Great channel as well. Does a live stream every week. A pub stream. Open panel. So, Paul, if you're about, there's a show for you to check out. Oh, Linda as well. Good to see you, Linda. And the Flying Arabist. We'll go with that. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Anybody else that I missed quickly? Linda, Justine, Ross in the hood. Yeah, I mean, this guy, he couldn't answer any questions. It was just like, nope, he's getting out on compassionate grounds, and that's it. No ifs, no buts. And it's like, right, okay. Who really controls the Scottish government? It's not the Scottish government. It's not the Scottish government, and it's not the people. That's a guarantee. I wonder who really pulls the strings there. Answers on a slate. So that was Kenny. I take it that's a young McGrahy. But yeah, I'll take you to now a news bulletin even that came out, I think, on the day. And then we're going to go to one, it's a documentary, but it's more pointing out what's being said by the eyewitness people on the ground when it happened. It's interesting. So basically, you'll have me. Well, I'll play it and I'll be kind of jumping in and out. Insert joke. So let me see if I can get it up. Viagra tends to help. Seemingly. So I've heard. Is it that one? Right, share. Share screen. There we go. Can I make it the fullest of screens? And I'm hoping it goes well in terms of how it plays, because if it's lagging and jumping and skipping, I'll probably just stop it and just finish the whole stream, right? What's the point? Technology, right? And I mean, there shouldn't be. I mean, my Wi-Fi is seemingly state-of-the-art fucking fiber optic, new generation internet. And I am YouTube Premium. So, I mean, there shouldn't be much issues, but I mean, it's sod's law a lot of the time. You get it all prepared and then it just goes tits up. Just me. Just me, right? Probably just me. Yeah, I have heard that. I think it was Kieran that told me. Kieran mentioned, like, so yeah. Yeah, hey, whatever helps you. Whatever helps you get your happiness, let's say. Not an issue that I've thankfully ever had. Touch wood. Touch wood, right? So still quite young. But I guess if the day comes, yeah, I guess there's a pill for everything now, right? Thanks to Big Pharma. I wonder what the side effects from Viagra would be. Yeah. I don't know. Answers on a postcard, right? Kieran can let us know. Anyway, that's another topic for another time, right? We won't get into that too deep tonight. Maybe another night. No wireless, Steve. Sorry, no wireless. Always hard wired from the router to the computer. Yeah, do you know what? That's a good shout. That is a good shout. And I could do that. So I probably should, to be honest. So cheers, Steve, for keeping me right. Good man. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll probably jump in and out and destroy the viewing pleasure. Get 'em all. Shock horror. Let me see. I need to check the audio is of the fullest. And would it matter if my laptop audio? I'll just make sure it's right up. And then we're good to go. Right, so here we go. I'm going to play the video, right? Here it goes.
Tonight's movie classic, The Cruel Sea, begins in about 15 minutes, but now we go over to the newsroom and Michael Burke.
Rescue teams from...
Do you know, I thought that was quite funny as well, the movie coming on that night, Cruel Sea. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but yeah, interesting movie to be playing after conditioning the masses with their news bulletin. I think this might have been the 10 o'clock news bulletin that went out in the UK, right? So here it goes.
from all over Britain are heading for the scene of what looks to be Britain's worst air crash tonight. Just after 7 this evening, a jumbo jet crashed onto the town of Lockerbie in the Scottish borders. It was a Pan-American Boeing 747, flight number 103 from London Heathrow to Kennedy Airport, New York. We now know there were 244 people on board, including 3 children. It came down on a petrol station and a housing estate on the south side of Lockerbie. There are casualties amongst the townspeople. We don't know how many. Bodies have been found up to 2 miles away. There's no immediate indication of why the plane crashed. Officials say there was no other airplane involved and rule out a mid-air collision. No explanation yet why the plane crashed from 31,000 feet without even time for a Mayday message.
This is the little border town of Lockerbie tonight. The air is thick with smoke, flames, and the smell of aviation fuel. A crater 20 feet deep marks the spot near the main Glasgow road where the jumbo jet came down. Pan Am Flight 103 from Heathrow to New York carried 15 crew and 229 passengers, holidaymakers bound for the States, Americans going home for Christmas. It was just after 7 tonight that the first sign things had gone awfully wrong reached flight controllers.
At about 8 minutes past 7 at the Rescue Coordination Centre here at Edinburgh, it was reported by the Civil Air Traffic Control Authorities that there had been an explosion on the ground, and this coincided with a Pan Am Boeing 747 disappearing from the radar screens.
The jet hit a petrol station, it wrecked houses on the south side of Lockerbie, the fuselage reportedly split in 2, and cars on the main Glasgow road were hit by debris. At a hotel in the town, customers heard and saw the crash.
We initially heard a rumbling over the hotel. We thought the roof was falling in. And then we heard a tremendous shudder on the ground as though it was an earthquake. And then we saw sparks and then this enormous ball of flame going about 200 or 300 feet into the air. There was debris flying everywhere.
Some houses on the south side of Lockerbie reportedly all but disappeared. Those whose homes were unhit were mostly making tea at the time of the crash.
Well, it was just about 7 o'clock we heard this almighty bang and the whole skylight. I was looking out in the back kitchen, which looks over onto the A74. It was the sky lit up, and I heard this explosion. I realised it was a plane coming down, so we just got down on the floor. And as soon as we passed over, and we got out and went round about the other houses, trying to get, there were a lot of elderly people staying there, so just more or less to get everybody out and see that we're all right.
Still turning. I was driving up the road in the car, and you know, I heard this horrible sound. It was like a rushing and a screaming noise, and the whole sky just lit up. And then it was like liquid fire started to rain down on the car, and bits of concrete and debris. And we even found a piece of the aluminium bedded in the car.
I was just driving home, you know. And then it must have been about 20 past 7. I had my cassette playing in the radio, you know, and I seen this just huge, vast, enormous red glow just lit up everywhere. I was stunned, you know. I was nearly going to break the vehicle, you know, but I took it easy, and then it must have hung in the air for about 2 minutes, and then this huge flash of flames, big mushroom. You know the way you see these documentaries about bombs dropping and that? That's what it looked like.
That's when it hit the ground, you suppose?
That's when it hit the ground, yeah. I mean, it was just vast, you know.
You've been up there. What do you gather from the situation?
Well, I'm 200 yards parked from this place here, which must be about a mile and a half from where the carnage is. And we were parked there for about an hour and a half. And then I walked up, I took a look around. It's just total carnage, mayhem, you know. It's never seen nothing like it in my life. Never.
Rescue services in Lockerbie first took the injured and dead to the town hall, where a refugee centre has been set up. There's no word yet on the number of casualties. They're being taken to hospitals, including the Dumfriesshire and Galloway Infirmary, by ambulance and helicopter. The first have reportedly arrived. In other Scottish hospitals, surgeons and blood transfusion services are standing by. This is the latest report we've had from Lockerbie. Reporter.
Right, so I want to take it back a wee bit. To what a guy said. Let me see if I can get it to the right point. Yeah, that's Toffee's uncle. No doubt a Scouser would be there, right? Telling it like it is. Interesting what he said as well, actually. Is it this guy?
We even found a piece of the aluminium bedded in the car.
I was just driving home, you know.
It's not him. It's before him. Right, let me see.
And then this enormous ball of flame going about 200 or 300 feet into the air. There was debris flying everywhere.
Some houses on the south side of Lockerbie reportedly all but disappeared. Those whose homes were unhit were mostly making tea at the time of the crash.
Well, it was just about 7 o'clock we heard this almighty bang and the whole skylight. I was looking out in the back kitchen which looks over onto the A74, and it was the sky lit up and I heard this explosion. I realised it was a plane coming down, so we just got down on the floor. And as soon as we passed over and we got out and went round about the other houses, trying to get a lot of elderly people staying there, so just more or less to get everybody out and see that we're all right.
Still turning.
I was driving up the road in the car, and you know, I heard this horrible sound. It was like a rushing and a screaming noise, and the whole sky just lit up, and then yeah.
So what that guy said there, I mean, I don't know if anybody picked up on that, but see what he said? Let's play it again. Play it again, Sam. So he was driving up the road.
And you know, I heard this horrible sound. It was like a rushing and a screaming noise, and the whole sky just lit up, and then it was.
So it was a rushing, screaming noise. Then the sky lit up. An explosion. Rushing, screaming. Does that sound like an aircraft? Because you could say, well, he's talking about the aircraft flying overhead and then the explosion, sky lit up. I mean, you know what? He's a grown man. You know what an aeroplane sounds like. We all do. And you don't... It would be hard to confuse an aircraft noise with anything else, really. But to describe it in such a way, like a screaming, and then the boom, that made me think, wait a minute. Rushing, screaming, then the boom, sky lights up, plane falls down. Is that guy describing a rocket? Because that's what a rushing, screaming-y sound would say to me. So that caught my... In particular, after hearing what Dean said, then hearing him say that, I thought, that's quite interesting. I mean, you would know what a plane sounds like, even a low-flying plane. But to describe it in that way, he's not talking about a plane. No way, man. In my view, he's talking about a rocket, a missile, screaming through the sky, boom, explosion, sky lights up, plane falls to the ground on houses and a petrol station. So let's hear him again.
So we just more or less to get everybody out and see that we're all right.
Still turning.
I was driving up the road in the car, and you know, I heard this horrible sound. It was like a rushing and a screaming noise, and the whole sky just lit up, and then it was like liquid fire started to rain down on the car, and bits of concrete and debris, and we even found a piece of the aluminium bedded in the car.
I was just driving home, and then it must have been about 7:20. Had me cassette playing in the radio.
He was playing his cassette. I wonder what he was playing. What sort of music do Scousers listen to in 1988? Let's hear. I think there a wee bit from. It's like I think he might be an FBI spokesman, and then I'll take you to another part in a documentary. Let's see.
Reports of the crash on his car radio. He arrived here to be told there had been no survivors. He's now being comforted by staff.
And families and relatives of the American passengers aboard Flight 103 have begun to gather at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York, the jumbo's destination. A Pan Am spokesman talked to reporters at the airport a few minutes ago. He said it's too soon to speculate on the cause of the crash.
We have no indication that there were any problems. There was no contact from the captain or any of the crew members. There were no problems, no indications whatsoever prior to the flight that there were any problems on board that aircraft or with the machine itself. We, if I may now, try to answer any questions that you may have.
There's been some suggestion there was an explosion in midair. Do you have anything on that?
We really don't. We have no indication. As I said, there was no prior indication that there were any problems with the aircraft. There was no contact prior, any Mayday signals. The aircraft had made normal contact with the control center at 19:15. The last reported contact was at 19:17.
So nobody yet knows why the Pan Am flight crashed. Tonight around...
So, what do you make of that guy? Do you see him? I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but he's pure sweating. The sweat's dripping off of the guy. I kind of got the feeling he was hiding. He wasn't telling the full truth there. Seemingly he was a spokesman for Pan Am. But he didn't feel right. He smelt a bit like CIA or FBI. There's another story about a guy, an American guy who he was going about the different crash sites at the time, and nobody knew who he was, and seemingly he was a relative of a passenger who had heard about it and flew directly to Scotland and was searching. And he ended up becoming like part of the team. And I got the feeling he wasn't a relative. He was actually a agent, a CIA agent. And I don't know if we're going to have time tonight to get into him, but I reckon in the next one we definitely will. Let me see. Is there another bit here that I wanted to point out? We might come back to it, but I'll take you to another part if I can work it. So we're still going, all good in the hood. Share the screen. I think it could be that. Is it? It's not working. I don't know what it's doing. Does anybody know? What am I doing? It's just... Oh, maybe it helps if you press play. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that tends to be how it works, right? Honestly, can't get the stuff, but there you go. So when I've pressed play, in fact, the first... let me get rid of that. The first bit, I think there's a copyright issue. So it's... Oh. I'm talking nonsense now. Get them off! Maybe it's not this one, actually. So this is a documentary that came out in 1998. Surviving Lockerbie documentary. So, what, 10 years after the incident, and I'll try and skip the cheesy intro. And that's coming from me. Why is it not working? No, we don't want Gene Kranz. Oh man, that's loud. Right, so I'll put me onto mute, and I'll probably jump in and out, and try and point stuff out. Right. So, I mean, like we said in the statistics, there's loads and loads and loads and loads of witness testimony. And we'll cover it tonight, but we'll in the second one as well. We're still going to be looking at witness testimony and looking for, well, anything really. Anything that's going to catch our attention. So, here we go, right?
On the 21st of December 1988, Pan Am Flight 103 from London to New York was scheduled to take off at 6 p.m. from Heathrow's Terminal 3. 259 people from 21 nations boarded the 747, the Clipper, made of the seas. And then they waited. Almost half an hour late, the Clipper took off and headed north towards Scotland.
This must be the bit. So I was right. I was right and wrong at the same time. I was right? Let's go with that. But did you hear the aircraft there? Unmistakable sound of an aircraft. You do not confuse it. And I have never in my life heard it described as Russian screaming. Described in that way. But yeah, it's the audio starts now, and the guy said, the bit I was over talking, he said it was a very quiet night, and then it took a turn. Right, so here we go.
Down, there was still a bit moving below me in the lower airspaces, and I watched the Clipper coming up over southern Scotland, and then suddenly his radar contact disappears, and in its place these effectively what looked like Christmas lights, and the penny began to drop very fast and very heavily. Then 103 Scottish, do you read me?
Top tried to contact the pilot of the Clipper repeatedly, but got no answer. When he double-checked with Oceanic Control, responsible for the plane's Atlantic crossing, they too had lost contact with the plane. Just before 7:03 p.m., the Clipper's signal had appeared to disintegrate into 5 separate pieces.
I watched these 5 pieces of wreckage sort of just in that area. They didn't move, strangely enough, although.
And it's interesting to see the guy saying that, because I just, in my mind, I can't imagine an aircraft on a radar. It gets blown up, and then you've got all these wee pieces. So it's like one aircraft turns into, what, 5 aircraft? I mean, surely the radar signal, it's like from one point. Or am I wrong in thinking that? Is it from various points of the aircraft? Because in my mind, my stupid mind, of course, it's like one point of signal. And the guy's talking about, oh, it broke up. I seen it on the screen and it broke up. And it's like, right. So that kind of catches my eye. It made my ears prick up a wee bit, I guess. So we'll continue with it. Here we go.
Outside, I knew it to be very windy. I mean, there was winds of about 100 miles an hour up at that level. And eventually these 5 main pieces disappeared out of my radar contact. And we all watched them at total silence as slowly they disappeared off the screen.
"5 miles below the Clipper's last known position lay the small town of Lockerbie. Stormy weather had kept most of the town's people inside watching television. In Sherwood Crescent, the town's Catholic priest had just got back from bringing his mother home for Christmas.
The main news came on at 7 o'clock. I watched that.
Now, this guy, the priest, he's like a total Scottish priest character, and like totally upfront and stuff like that. I thought he was quite funny, so you'll get to hear what he's got to say. Here he goes.
Highlights. And it suddenly dawned on me I should go upstairs and hide my mother's Christmas present, because I'd accidentally left it in her bedroom upstairs. So she went through to the kitchen to make a cup of tea, and I said, I'll just go upstairs for a minute. I took the present out of the cupboard, turned to put it in the bed, and the first thing I heard was the sound of a wind.
I was sitting at the fire opening Christmas cards when it was Cara that heard the noise first. And I couldn't think what was wrong with her. Her hackles were up and she was growling, and then all of a sudden there's this terrible noise of, I didn't know what it was, but it sounded to me as if it was going to land on my house.
And then the whole house started to vibrate. Pictures moving, ornaments moving, and I wondered what was happening.
All the lights went out. And it was the most enormous explosion. And the whole house shook. And I could remember putting my hand over my head and looking at the ceiling. I didn't shut my eyes. I thought, this ceiling's coming in on me and I'm going to either die or I'll be badly injured.
So I headed for the front door. When I looked out in the street, there's this brilliant orange light and balls of fire falling on the street, on the roofs.
Right away we saw the fireball, flames rolling up from Lockerbie. It's about 5 miles from here to the actual crash site.
Do you know what I'll do as well? Can I put the subtitles on for anybody that might not understand me? This is an interesting couple as well, and they went through the mill that night, and I think maybe it haunted them. This is 10 years after as well. What they seen that night. I mean, it's enough to haunt the biggest, toughest man going. Honestly, it is. It genuinely is. Just tragic, man. So tragic. And interesting what the priest said. The lights went out, and then there was a big explosion. The lights went out. I guess it could have maybe hit a power, like a small substation, which could have done that. But would that have been at the same time? Or why did the lights go out before? I mean, it must have been before for him to say the lights went out and then a big bang. So that kind of caught my eye. Not much to it, but it caught my attention, and we'll remember that and put it to one side. So we'll continue now with the the subtitles on, right?
In the dark night sky, it was really terrifying to look at it. And we thought of a military plane, and we're saying we hope the man's got ejected. Never entered our mind that it could be a passenger plane.
So I opened the front door. I could not believe what I saw. The whole street had gone. There was just this enormous, enormous fire. I thought, this is big stuff. This is big.
In the chaos that followed the fire in Lockerbie, no one yet knew that it was the fuel-laden wing section of a jumbo jet that had caused the explosion in Sherwood Crescent, which had sent a debris-filled fireball shooting 300 feet into the air. Even when it was known what had struck the town, it would take days to establish the death toll on the ground and to comprehend the full extent of the worst air disaster in British aviation history.
I said to myself, this is big, because I knew I was into a situation which I'd never envisaged before. And I knew it was going to be big, it was going to be complicated, and it was going to be messy, and really quite traumatic, not just at the time, but consequently down through the months and the years.
As news of the disaster hit families who'd gone to New York's Kennedy Airport to welcome their loved ones home for Christmas, the reality of the tragedy began to dawn on relatives all over the world.
It is one of the worst air disasters ever, and as this day begins, the cause remains a mystery.
Officials do say there was a mid-air explosion, and this morning a group calling itself the Guardians of the Islamic Revolution claimed that it was responsible for that explosion.
Devastated by the news that their loved ones had been murdered by terrorists, relatives heard that the crash might have been avoided if only a bomb threat had been taken seriously.
The threat came 2 weeks ago when a caller to the U.S. Embassy in Helsinki said a Pan Am plane out of Frankfurt would be blown up.
Many of the bereaved found this was the bitterest blow of all.
Yeah, tragic, man. Hearing the scream of the relative, I think the parent of a child, the anguish in it, it goes right to the bone, man. You feel it in your bone. That anguish. Yeah, tragic. Truly so tragic, man. But again, similarities here with 9/11 and the fact that, well, 2 weeks ago, fucking so-and-so said there's going to be a bomb and there's going to be this. A plane going to get blown up. Kind of like a carbon copy of what we heard on September 11, 2001. Oh, well, they could have stopped it. The CIA this, the FBI that, knew this, knew that, but it still happened. And even here, in news that was coming out before 9/11 about Bin Laden, kinda in a way it's conditioning. So they'll tell you about an event, you're in a way conditioned to it, more accepting of it when it fucking happens. Oh, and by the sounds of it, that happened in Lockerbie. They warned people about it. It was probably on the news. And it happened with 9/11. It was on the news. and they said on CNN, Bin Laden could attack America or the United States of Israel, they called it. The United States of Israel. And of course, it wasn't Israel, shock horror. It was New York that got it. But Bill Cooper said, because Bill Cooper watched it when it came on CNN. And that night he done a show and said, look, basically, they're saying Bin Laden's going to carry out a terrorist attack. And he said, look, it won't be, don't believe it. It won't be Bin Laden. It won't be him. And it's echoing into Lockerbie. It won't be McGrahy. They'll put McGrahy on a plate. It will not be him. He's the patsy. But the question again is, who actually done it? And was there a bomb, or was there a missile like Dean Spheri? Oh, God's sake. Dean Warwick. There we go. We got there. Hey, it's late, right? So we'll keep going. We'll hear a bit more. And I'll jump in and out from time to time. Here we go.
Making their loss even harder to bear. Ten years later, the suspects have still not come to trial. Relatives of the murdered victims, who fought doggedly to get justice for them, feel betrayed by such a failure. They get scant comfort from the fact that Pan Am has since gone out of business, leaving its landmark building to the insurance giant MetLife. Michelle Chula was only 17 when her father Frank was killed on Flight 103.
I remember that day, moment to moment. I mean, it's as if it happened yesterday. That day changed my life forever. When the crash first happened, the only thing I could concentrate on was my father being gone and the loss that we felt under our roof. I didn't want to deal with the other 269 people. I didn't want to deal with the whole plane crash aspect. I just could not understand it, and I could not deal with it. As the years went on, I personally became curious about the other parts of it. And I think that I'm finally beginning to piece it all together. And I think now I'm ready to really understand the whole spectrum of what happened. And I think that I could never have said that 5 years ago, you know, whether it was my age or just I was too busy dealing with my father's death. It's almost as if I wanted an opportunity to put these 10 years in one place. I walked into my house and my mom was on the floor and my sister was above her and she had her winter coat still on. So my sister must have just gotten home when she called me, and my mom was just sobbing and she was just yelling my father's name. And I just couldn't believe this was going on. I didn't understand. This couldn't be happening. You know, he was going to be home for dinner. And it's so strange because I walked into the den, which is right in front of the front door, and I prayed. And I used to pray every single night. And I prayed that this wasn't happening. And I didn't pray for me or my sister or my brother, but I just looked at my mother and I said, she can't handle this. There's no way.
The only thing that I feel bad about is, you know, again, all the people that won't go.
I felt so hurt and such pain that I couldn't feel for anybody else. I couldn't even feel for my kids in a lot of ways at the beginning.
But I mean,
They had each other. And I really think because they had each other, they were okay. But I had nobody. So it was just me alone fighting this whole thing.
So she felt very bad. So what I did was I went to the office and I got the bosses.
He was a good guy. He just was loving, caring. He was a great dad, great husband, and he was my best friend. I mean, I talked everything out with him. Even if it was the stupidest thing, he would understand. I mean, he was such a kind person that for this to happen to him because somebody hated, we don't live by hate in this family at all. So it was very hard, like, to accept the fact that he was murdered in such a way because somebody hated. We had a choice, and we all knew that at the time. And we had a choice of either letting it tear us apart or bringing us closer together. So I really chose to go into my family. I didn't want that anger. That's not me. That wasn't my kid. That wasn't my husband.
While Michelle's older brother and sister cope with the loss in their own way, the whole family felt horror for the place and the way in which Frank had died.
I remember watching the news and I remember seeing flames. That's my most vivid image that I come up with when I think about the news footage. I remember seeing flames, and the first thing we had heard was perhaps a jet had crashed into a petrol station. That's what we had heard. And that was nauseating to me.
Obviously difficult enough to just deal with the loss of our father and what that meant. But after that, and actually finding out that someone had purposefully placed a bomb on board to kill all these people, it was just uncomprehendable at the time. We just couldn't understand how someone could do that, and the anger and pain that already existed just magnified.
While many relatives expressed their anger by lobbying Washington for justice and revenge, the Tullers withdrew into the world of their own home. They did, however, make close friendships with other bereaved relatives who live nearby. One of them, who lost not only her husband, but her son and pregnant daughter too, is Jerry Buser. But unlike the Tuller family, she was keen to visit Lockerbie right from the start.
Yeah, interesting what that guy talking about, how he couldn't comprehend how anybody could do that. Even like a terrorist or someone who hated America. I mean, how many people, nationalities, hate America in the UK? I mean, how long have you got? And I mean, imagine the guy's angry at that and can't comprehend it. Imagine how he would take it if you was to tell him, look, actually it was carried out by American intelligence. I think the guy would have a heart attack. See, people cannot comprehend. I mean, they can't even comprehend an enemy doing it. But of course, they don't know who the real enemy is. I want to try and find... There's a bit where a Scottish couple gets interviewed. And for the life of me, I can't... I thought it was earlier. And now I'm going to be... It's these two, but... You kind of need to hear what they say. So I'm kind of looking... trying to multitask. Can you tell? Can you hear the brain? The cogs turning. The rusty cogs. We'll try here. Oh, the heck happened there?
The story that awaited Michelle of the circumstances surrounding her father's fall to earth was a strange one. It began nearly 6 miles from the flaming crater in Lockerbie, on Hugh and Margaret Connell's remote hill farm.
And at that time we were completely unaware that things were crashing down round about us. Even though we could hear noises, we thought they were coming from the crash site. It took quite a while for the wreckage to land here. It's easy looking back. We know now it was floating down from 5 miles up in the sky. So there's a delay of 2 or 3 minutes from the time the flames were boiling up in Lockerbie till things were crashing down here. And we weren't aware of anything landing, but then our electric went out.
Venturing outside to investigate, Mr. Connell stumbled upon a totally unexpected object lying on a road near the farm.
We come on the mailbag on the road and then realised that there was wreckage lying around us. And then we started wandering over the fields and finding first suitcases and seats and parts of the plane. It was then we realised it was a passenger plane, because initially we thought of a military plane.
Huey says, do you know what has really happened? That it's been a passenger aircraft, and we've found 2 passengers dead on the place.
Worried that there might be wounded survivors lying somewhere on the outlying fields of their farm, the Connells began a thorough search of the area.
In the darkness, we just had to look further, because at the time we always felt there could be survivors, there could be somebody out there injured. There was no way we could settle, just sit in the house and wonder.
Even after many hours spent searching the dark hills, they had found only 2 bodies, one a few hundred yards from the house, the other over a mile away.
Both the bodies we found they just had fell there. There was nothing to indicate they were seriously injured. Life was gone, but they were whole intact. Others near Lockerbie would have far more horror than we had. We found limbs and body parts, but we never had the horror that some knew. And it was the remoteness and the loneliness that, as we had to search it on our own, that really seemed to get to us.
So that's quite interesting. So this couple here, this gentleman and his wife, they're 6 miles away from the crater. 6 miles away. They heard the commotion, not a clue what's going on outside, and then the penny begins to drop. Oh, passenger equipment, mailbag, a plane, seats, 2 bodies, body parts, 2 bodies intact. So remember the report, 1 body, there was more than 1 body intact. 2 bodies intact, and he said in his words, they looked like they had just been placed there. No sign of injury, just lying there, intact, dead. So they're out in the property, looking about. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to even imagine what that would be like, man. I mean, I have been out. A young lad here went missing that we knew. And I remember being out looking for him. He had been missing for about 2 months. And it was totally out of the blue. A young lad called Aidan McPherson. God bless him. 16-year-old. And I remember because I knew him quite well. We were in the same circles. Had been out with the guy, parties and what have you. So I knew him well, and it was obvious something wasn't right because he hadn't been home. And I remember one time actually we were at a rave and it was like a beach party, and me and Aidan, we were like last to leave, and we're walking where we think is back to Elgin, but we're walking in the wrong direction. And because we thought, oh, we'll take a shortcut through the woods, and we got lost. So I remember that quite well. And I think I was 2 years older than Aidan, 3 maybe. And but I hung about with his 2 older brothers, and he would tag along. But I remember we're walking, and I'm thinking to myself, and this is before Google Maps or anything like that, and I'm thinking, fuck, we're lost, man. I was like, honestly, we are lost, because we're walking and walking for miles and miles, and I'm thinking, wait a minute here, we're dead. And it's not the first time that it happened to me, by the way, but that's another story. And we there was a house, like an old country house, and I thought, right, I said to Aidan, look, you go and ask because I seen they had a car, and I thought, you go and ask them if we can if we can get a lift into Elgin because we're lost. And he was like, nah, you. And I was like, nah, you, because he'll think I'm fucking trying to rob him. If you go, you're a younger looking lad, you might feel, okay, I'll take you home, and then you can say, right, pick up my friend as well. And he did. He went to the door, and the guy answered, and he was a bit like, nah, I can't. So he shut the door, and then we started walking away, and then the guy pulled up in his car, and he was like, look, jump in. You're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way. So it was like, thank God, man. Faith in humanity restored at that point, right? So that's a wee story with Aidan. But when he went missing that time, man, I remember being down at the river and looking and thinking, fucking hell, man. What is it going to be like if I find the guy? It was just going over and over in my mind that someone was going to find him eventually, and someone did. I think maybe a week later, a guy out walking his dog, and it was down at the riverbank, and it was Aidan. And he had actually left. The last time he got seen was on Hogmanay, and he left his friend's house, and that was it. And going by where he was found, there's an area there. There's like these big pipes that cross the river, and people used it as a shortcut, but it was dangerous, man. And at that time of year, probably icy. So, I mean, I can only conclude that he took a shortcut, intoxicated, and it didn't work out. He's bumped his head, and he's went in the water. That would be my sort of. There was they ruled out any foul play or anything like that. But I mean, the lad had been in. I don't know what sort of condition he would have been in. It bears thinking about, but so I always remember that feeling like, do you know what, man? I just praying that he was going to fucking turn up at home, and it would be his mum would be happy, and that would be it, because devastated his family, his mum, his poor mum. So that was. I kind of can feel what this couple, but I never had to find anybody, so I just, it's hard to imagine, but fair play to them. They thought, look, we're not sitting wondering in the house. We're going to have to go out and see if it, because they're thinking maybe there's going to be someone that's still breathing. So you're out looking, hoping, but you're finding what he described as people that looked like they had just been placed there. And that catches my eye. I mean, I'm not saying they have just been placed there, but it raises there's alarms that go off in my head about that. And we'll get into that a wee bit more probably. So we'll continue a wee bit. Sorry for for interrupting. Right, get him off. Here we go.
When dawn finally came, the Connells were greeted by a bizarre and disturbing sight. For the first time, they could see the hundreds of personal items from the front cargo hold that had been scattered over their land. And in a brown passenger seat, a short walk from their house, sat Michelle's father, Frank.
It was just unbelievable. You just couldn't think that there was a fellow man, a human being, in our field, in a passenger seat, in a plane seat. It's hard to believe. These kind of things just happen elsewhere, you know.
It's now 6 years since Michelle took her first reluctant steps towards the Connells farm to learn the story that was to transform her whole outlook on Lockerbie and its people.
I thought it was absolutely disgusting to have an opportunity to talk to these people. I couldn't relate to it. I didn't want anything to do with it. And I was so sad that we might find out stuff that we didn't want to know. I just wanted to be anywhere but there. And I swore that I wouldn't say anything to them. And I swore that there were no questions that I wanted answered. And I swore that I would just leave and never see them again.
Hello, Margaret. How are you? It's such a beautiful day out to visit.
This time, however, Michelle can hardly wait to see the people who found her father and who she now knows treated him with such love and respect. Like other relatives, the Chulers have found that the tragic circumstances under which they first met the Connells has since brought them close together.
Michelle, of course, it was quite a thing for her. She was going to do no talking whatsoever. She didn't want to come to Lockerbie. It was a horrible place, but her mum had persuaded her, and Frank, and there was no mistake. And as soon as they stepped out of the car and we saw them, they were just so like him, you see. And I just said to her, I said, "You're just so like your dad."
You know, I had 10 years of healing in that one moment. It was amazing. It was like, oh, she saw my father. I mean, he was okay. And I think the thing that really turned things around for my mom was knowing that they found him 20 minutes after the crash.
From the moment they found him, the Connells had wanted to contact the relatives of the man who'd come to them so strangely in the night. They hoped to offer the comfort of explaining exactly what had happened. But at first, they didn't even know his name.
We just called him our boy for a long time because we didn't know his name. We didn't find out what he was called for about maybe 5 or 6 months before we found out his name was Frank and his age.
They did not have to pay any attention to my family, and yet they've embraced us. They've fallen in love with us as we have fallen in love with them, and we continue to establish a really strong relationship. And I'm happy to have the opportunity to walk the fields, and I'm happy to have an opportunity to stand in that spot that my father.
So that's a kind of nice. I mean, it's hard to find anything nice anywhere, to be honest, let's face it. But I think it's a good example of the way Scottish people are. that elderly couple are a prime example of how caring, compassionate Scottish people can be. Not all of us, of course, right? But we can. We can. When we want to, we can be kind of caring. And it's nice that they reached out, and I think they probably helped each other. And the priest, he does go on to say, look, that's a good thing. I'll see if I can find it, because he kind of nailed it, to be honest. And you never heard, I don't know if, what's my dog doing? I don't know if I'll be able to find it now with the priest. Where did we get to with the priest? What's he saying here? I think we got to that bit.
So I opened the front door and I couldn't.
Yeah, he opened the door. Because he goes on to talk a wee bit about his life. And he was like a raging alcoholic. Just before the incident. What is he doing? Beans. You're disturbing the stream. Honestly. He's like, send the link, he's wanting up to join. But he was very open about his past and his history, which is quite hard to come by. But he nailed it as well, saying, look, there is good things, but overall it's a really, really bad thing that's happened. Because even though these people have met, they would much rather their loved ones still be here. And I think that is true. I don't know, probably won't find it.
To die at that time was suicide. At that point.
Oh, I think he's maybe talking a wee bit about his life here. Very open and I guess honest. Let's see if we can play it. Is that a neck brace he's got? A polo neck? Well, it's the 90s, right? I think it's a neck brace. Right, here we go.
But at that time, it was the trauma of that. You couldn't believe. You need to be reassured that there was nobody on the road, and none there was.
The people of Lockerbie dealt with the crash as if they had had a book that said, if a plane crashes on your town, this is what you need to do. They dealt with it with love and with compassion. They never stopped taking care of the relatives. They never stopped taking care of each other. It was extraordinary to hear the stories and to see how they were able to put their lives back together slowly but surely. For weeks, the townspeople were inundated with relatives, with press, with policemen, with rescue workers. What struck me the most was how the people of Lockerbie used their own pain and their own grief to help others. That was how they dealt with it. It's amazing to know that although they were all suffering themselves, they were able to turn that suffering around for the good of the town and for the good of the relatives. What is so incredible is that there is not one person in Lockerbie that thinks they did anything special.
In the rebuilt Sherwood Crescent, where he narrowly escaped death himself, lived one of the many people who've tried so hard to comfort relatives of the 270 dead. When the explosion happened here, Father Patrick Keegans had only just arrived in town as its new Catholic priest.
I came to Lockerbie in January of 1988, but at that time I wasn't well. I'd been suffering that time from alcoholism. So my life, it was really a disaster in itself. In fact, I wanted to die at that time. I was suicidal at that point. I recognized that I would be better off dead and that everyone else would be better off without me in this world. That's what I really believed, and it was true at the time. But when I met all the people of Lockerbie, I loved them from the start. I thought I really liked these people. And that was a sort of push. It gave me a sort of push because I didn't want to mess up their lives again the way I'd messed up other people's lives through my my alcoholism or drinking.
Sam saw the hand of fate in the fact that the man who'd saved himself from a self-inflicted death was one of the few inhabitants of Sherwood Crescent whose house remained intact. Father Keegans and his mother were saved from death when they delayed a visit to friends whose house was destroyed by the blast.
Oh, there they are.
For the past 10 years, Father Keegans has devoted himself to helping bereaved families on visits to the town, just as he helped the Chulas on their first trip.
Very good to see you. Ah, well, you coming in?
Yes, I am. That's okay.
Last time you were here, you brought cream cakes. Where are the cream cakes?
I'm sorry, we didn't bring anything.
He was also the first resident of Sherwood Crescent to move back into his house, even though the roof was still under a tarpaulin.
There you go, Frank.
I really wanted to be here. I mean, it sounds crazy to come back in a way, but I thought, I'm going to show the people that it's possible to live here, no matter what the mess is, and that even by living in a mess, this is the start of us getting better. Also, having gone through that painful experience of being alcoholic and being at the point where I thought life wasn't worth living, I knew what people who had lost family were feeling. It was a similar type of feeling. There was a feeling, you know, God, life has come to an end for me because my husband has died or my children have died. The motorway runs right along here, north-south, and it was this southbound carriageway. It was actually on fire, really on fire, and the cars were in there. And I thought, my God, if there are people in those cars, they're dead. Fortunately, they weren't. They'd actually got out. But then I thought to myself, that's very, very close to where Morris and Dora Henry live. That is close. At that point, I did not know what was in the Crescent now.
No.
I still imagine, you know, it's a bit further beyond. It's on the motorway that this crash has happened. I wasn't aware of what was outside the front door.
You know, coming here the first time and coming back and hearing, really trying to understand what it was like when you walked out of your house and you saw this devastation, I think that it was the right decision for my family not to come. I think that it would have been too much. It would have been too hard, and we would never have had the time to heal before finding these answers.
One of several spiritual centres created by the people of Lockerbie for relatives to pay their respects and to mourn is the cemetery at Drivesdale. Few of the bereaved ever visit the town without coming here to spend a quiet moment in the place that was built and dedicated within a year of the disaster. One of the very first relatives to arrive in Lockerbie after the crash was Joe Horgan, who came on a self-imposed mission to find the body of his brother-in-law, Mike.
Great to see you.
In the process,
Yeah, well, listen to what's being said about this. This is the guy that seemed to appear from nowhere and was taken in and was visiting all the sites and running around. I kind of got the feeling he's some kind of... This is the guy that I said I reckon is maybe some kind of agent. But I could be wrong. So we'll hear a wee bit of this. There's another short video, but I'll try and get it under the 4 hours, right? We'll try and get it under. And of course, we're only not even halfway. There will be a part 2, of course, God granted, and we'll continue. An interesting guy, the priest, right? An interesting character. Very open, very honest, alcoholic, wanted to kill himself, then wakes up to be the only house left on the street. I mean, that's a bit, I don't know even what you would call that, but quite incredible. So we'll play a bit more, so here we go.
he built up a close relationship with many people in Lockerbie, among them Father Keegans, who believes Michelle will learn a lot from the experiences Joe went through here.
Finally found this. Michelle, Joanne, Joe Horgan,
Nice to meet you.
my brother Frank.
Joe Horgan. How you doing?
Were you here when this was dedicated?
Yes.
You were.
Yes. Remember? Yes, I remember.
We were just talking about that because I'm still amazed that it was able to be done in the year's time.
Oh, and we were standing there after the ceremony was over, and this woman came up to me, and she just placed this envelope against my chest and just took off. And I never caught her. And I opened it up, and it's a ceramic plaque, and it has the Statue of Liberty and the flag of St. Andrews, and it says, "United we stand."
Yeah, we met with someone who said so eloquently that she lost 270 people.
Yeah.
And I never thought of it that way.
Right.
You know, it's like I lost one person, but the town lost 270 people.
They lost 270 people and what they had to deal with here.
I think one of the best opportunities of this trip was talking with Joe Horgan, because we didn't come right away, because we didn't want to. And I imagine that if it was my mother that was flying home, and if my father was the one that had survived, that he would have acted as Joe did. And he would have gotten on a plane and he would have demanded to know what happened.
They took the flight deck apart today in the search for an answer to what caused the explosive rupture from the fuselage and to take the crew away. They brought the police and firemen close round and put up a tarpaulin as they cut through to the cockpit. They took the captain away first and then the co-pilot.
I think there must have been a copyright.
Driven by a single-minded determination to find his brother-in-law's body, Joe Horgan ignored police cordons and visited every crash site in Lockerbie in the hope of finding Mike's remains. Each search mission yielded more and yet more bodies, but there was still no sign of Mike. To be discreet, rescue workers rushed the bodies into the center of town, where the town hall had been set aside as a temporary mortuary. As the days went by, Joe Horgan witnessed increasingly gruesome details of the recovery operation.
I did things here that I never want to do again, and I saw things that I never want to see again. But I mean, it was chaos. You know, there was just total devastation. So I was able to get everywhere, and I didn't speak, so no one knew who I was. They didn't know I was a relative. So I was able to get to every one of the sites. You know, I looked like a searcher, you know, the way I was dressed, and I just kind of acted like I belonged there. And then when I came back, they were quite upset, and they didn't know what to do with me. And I just said, well, I didn't come over here to sit around. I said, I'm going to, you know, I can help, I can do something. I said, but I can't sit here.
In the event, Joe spent much of his time in the Incident Control Center, where police were coordinating the search and rescue effort of an area which they now realized was spread over 850 square miles.
And see that this guy Joe, he's he's just a complete stranger, not even local, rocks up out of nowhere and is in the command centre, in the control room, visiting all these different sites. And it does not sit well with me. I'm unsure what to make of the guy Joe Blogs, Joe Horgan. Yeah. In fact, let me take a note of his name. He's going on the list. You're summoned, Joe Horgan. Is that even his name? Joe Sutton, anyway. Joe 90s. Right, we'll play it again and we'll begin to wind it down soon, right? And I've seen what you said, Linda. I'm sure you will. The target's for under 4 hours. So yeah, we'll see. Time's ticking, right? So a wee bit more.
To understand what it was like for the searchers, Michelle arranged to meet the volunteers who undertook the grim job on the ground. It's the first time they've been back since the night of the crash.
See,
Do you remember how far you went that night? You walked through these hills?
Yeah, we walked right up through all these fields. It all looks different just now, actually. But we did walk up through all the fields. We did what we call a line search. It got almost moonlight, and so that made it a bit easier. You could actually just be in the field and would look over and we'd see shapes, you know, in the field. So we knew that when we went into that field, we would come upon bodies. But, that was what we had to do. There were 3 bodies still over there, and they had only enough sticks to mark 2 of them. And unfortunately, I found myself the only one with a stick left. And
notice again, that guy said 3 bodies. He's not said body parts or half a body there and quarter of a body there. 3 bodies in the field, and they were putting sticks to mark them. A grim job that would have been. So I think in terms of the amount of people lying about, I think the number would be quite high in regards to an intact body. I mean, you've seen them taking the body bag. It's like a full body. It's not like half a body bag. Although, have I ever seen that? Probably not. But it looked like an intact body. Interesting, that guy Joe as well, saying, "Oh, I've seen things I don't want to see again. I done things I don't want to do again." I wonder what he meant by he done things he didn't want to do again. What the hell was he doing? So we'll go a wee bit more. And I've got my eye on you, Paul. You'll be getting a complete ban. I'm joking. Right, here we go.
So I went across on my own. I saw the 3 bodies, and I saw the one that wasn't marked, and I went to put a stick beside it, and it kept falling down. It kept kneeling like close to her face, and she was really unmarked. You know, there was a number of the bodies were marked, you know, but she was completely unmarked, and she just looked as if she was sleeping in it. And she did remind me greatly of my daughter, so that was a wee bit hard. And some of the other ones,
again, quite incredible to be saying he's seen a female, a lassie, in the field that even reminded him of his daughter, completely intact. Doesn't even mention a scratch or a hair out of place, if you like, in such pristine condition that he said it looked like she was sleeping. And I find that astonishing. I find that quite incredible, given what happened. And we will expand on that as we go into the second part, because at that time we're going to be looking more at what Dean said and kind of, I guess, getting a wee bit more conspiratorial. Yeah, shock horror, right? Shocking. Imagine that. What, here? That's life, but not as we know it. Oh, me. Anyway, right, so we'll play a bit more. We've got 30 minutes, so yeah, we'll see.
The things that we've found, I suppose they were so grotesque that I couldn't. She kept affecting me quite a bit.
It was actually, if this is a strange way to put it, but one of the highlights of this trip, to actually walk the fields that the rescue people were walking that night, is really, it was surreal. It took me
back then. It was as if I was there. And it just puts on such a personal touch on the whole thing, because these people were finding Christmas presents and they were suffering and they were taking down their Christmas lights. And they too had grieving to do. They too were mourning these people. And both Colin and Jim, telling their own stories in their own way, again made it come to light to me in that way.
Is it strange for you to be here now?
It is really strange. This is the first time I've been back since the event, and it comes back to you. I can now sort of half close my eyes and visualise the light, the helicopter, the noise, the sound of policemen coming towards us up the track. It comes back to you quite quickly, actually. We came across parts of bodies, we came across whole bodies, and we saw some dreadful things, which do come back to you sometimes. I think we always get flashbacks. I remember a year afterwards, or just afterwards, I went to a burn supper. I've been to a burn supper when they cut open the haggis. I had to leave the room. I had to get out of the room there and then because it just all flashed back. But time healed that.
So how long were you actually out searching and marking bodies? And
we worked right through to Christmas Day, the night of Christmas Day. So we missed Christmas Day completely. The second day we were asked to search the wood downwind of the golf course, where many bodies have been found as well. And we were releasing the trees. I remember that day.
A body would fall from the tree. You could see the reaction because we're youngsters there.
Yeah.
17,
so we said to them, let's talk to each other, guys. Let's not walk in silence. So we talked a lot and whistled. So we knew you weren't on your own. And in fact, there was nothing there at all. And then the next day we searched a mountain area further north from here, and up there nothing actually got through to me because I think I had the team pressure on me. But that day I was on my own on the hill, and it was luggage we came across. And I always remember coming across a Christmas parcel, and I had Dumbo the elephant in it, and Dumbo's ears were flapping in the wind, and I cracked up. I absolutely cracked up because I've got children, so that mattered that day.
It's just so personal and so real. I mean, everyone felt something. And everyone has a moment that they realize what was really going on. They realize who these people were. They understood the magnitude of this event. And it's those moments that I think are the most interesting to hear because they're so different for each person.
Not every relative, however, uncovered facts about the fate of their loved ones as comforting as those found by Michelle. In Rosebank Crescent, where a major portion of the fuselage fell, more than 60 bodies rained down on roofs and gardens. The horror of this spectacle was one of the reasons police press officer Angus Kennedy advised relatives not to come to Lockerbie.
People react differently, and if relatives do want to come on, if they find comfort in coming on, then we are geared with the social work department to help and assist them further when they arrive in Lockerbie.
But you advise them to the American authorities not to
Our advice to them, if at all possible, now is not the time to come to Lockerbie.
Kennedy, however, struck a special deal with Joe Horgan. In return for his agreement to speak to the world's press on behalf of the relatives, he would be permitted to stay in the police control center until Mike's body was finally identified.
You run quite a gambit of emotions. Grief, loss, frustration, anger.
As the mound of floral tributes continued to rise outside the town hall, the number of coffins grew inside. It was 6 days before Joe at last received word that his brother-in-law's body had been found in the Rosebank Crescent area.
And Joe said to me, "Would you come and say a prayer over the coffin?" And we approached the big hall, the main hall upstairs, and the doors, we opened the
issue. Shock horror. But yeah, the guy Joe, yeah, did it cut out? I mean, it's been plagued. It got plagued with issues tonight. So I don't even know if it's working or not. But I think on that kind of note, we'll probably just call it a night. I mean, that guy Joe comes out of nowhere. Nobody knows him. Nobody's got a clue who he is. And rocks up off the street, is searching in the control room, and then he's a spokesman at the media conference. It's like, what? How many parts does the guy want to play? Honestly, it's just I'm gonna do a wee bit of digging on him. But in part 2, we're gonna again look at some of the witness statements, and then I'll play. I mean, it's at risk. I kind of think it might be risky, but that's the game we're in. That's the game we're in with YouTube. But next time, I think we'll look a wee bit more what was said by Dean Warwick, and see if we can find any evidence to that. But the guy talking about the rushing and the screaming, just instantly in my mind, the missile comes in. Have I ever heard a missile? I've not. I've heard gunshots, automatic gunfire, smoke bombs, smoke grenades, and I've never heard a missile apart from on TV. But you get the impression it's this rushing, screaming noise. An aircraft, you don't describe it like that. So that certainly caught my attention, and we'll come back to that. I reckon it'll be probably next Friday, but we'll be live on Wednesday, and I'll have guests on. On the Wednesday, let me think. What day is it today? Wednesday. I'll jump on Friday as well, this Friday, and we'll just have a chat and a catch up, and I'll try and see if I can get anybody to volunteer to possibly take part in a kind of movie review stream, on the back of our good brother John, who crossed the other side in January. So it's kind of in remembrance. Would that be the word? And yeah, kind of continue it in John's name. I'm sure he would like us to carry it on, to carry the torch. And I've not got the same movie knowledge as John. I mean, his knowledge on film making and movies was extensive, right throughout the ages of film, because he was a good man, John. So we'll discuss that a wee bit more in depth on, I think, Friday. I'll get a chance. We'll come on, we'll do a bit of a catch up, see where we're at, and then we'll go into next week, stream on Wednesday, stream on Friday. Then after that week, I'm hoping to get more guests on, and I'll jump on anytime. Someone mentioned a crash in Italy. I've not seen. Do you know, I've been away from the news most of the day, so I've not seen anything in terms of news. But yeah, what's with all the crashing going on? I seen a video about the helicopter and the aeroplane, and seemingly the people that released I think it's airport footage, they got arrested, as far as I could see. That caught my attention. But apart from that's all I've seen. If there is another crash, yeah, that's interesting. It seems to be quite a common theme. So maybe we'll discuss that a wee bit on Friday, and just a general kind of see what the crack is, right? So see what the score is. So it's been emotional. It's been a journey. Missile, Wendy, yeah, that would be. I mean, I keep wanting to see something that's going to say, nah, definitely not a missile. But I think it might be. Man. And again, it's hard for people to comprehend how an enemy could do it. But when these people, when heaven forbid, if these people really knew what the situation is, they would die a shock, man. They would. A lot of people, they simply would, their brain would not comprehend it. It would explode. So good to see Wendy B in the hood. We're going to make it under the 4-hour mark. I should have put a bet on. I should have been taking wagers on it. So we're all good. I think we touched. Nothing drastic. We touched the basics, covered a few of the statistics, got a few. Got a few witness testimony, and yeah, a few things that, catch my eye. That Swiss company, I want to look into that a wee bit more. See what they're about. See who owned it. What company owned it, maybe. So I think they could be worth looking into. And the guy, I've forgotten his name now. Joe. Oh, man. Oh, God. So, I mean, it could be quite a new topic to a lot of people. Like I said, it's been brushed aside, man. I mean, there is stuff, you can find stuff out there, to be fair, but it's kind of still in the shadows of a lot of the news. And I think we're heading that way with 9/11 as well, which is it's a thought to think that in years to come, people might be like, the what now? The twin what? The Taliban what? So it's quite insane in kind of 2020 vision, hindsight, looking back, how they can just sort of brush certain events under the carpet. Like, no, you don't want to be looking into that, right? Don't go there. So great to see Wendy in the hood. Joni as well, who I look forward to speaking to next week. So that might give you a clue as to who might be on. And I look forward to. You better get prepared. Get your research done. Yeah, I think we'll do a stream, and I'll let Johnny take the floor, and yeah, that'll be interesting. And I can sort of interrogate. I can do my interrogation from the sidelines. Of course, I'm joking. There will be. Well, I might interrogate Ulick. He needs a good interrogation. So that, yeah, you'll want to see that. So I look forward to that. Great, and thank you for joining tonight. Off to make cookies. Yay! Celebrating my stream, right? Let's definitely a good time to go and make cookies and feel a bit happier. Happy cookies. Hey, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Linda, always a pleasure. And I hope you're doing well. The beautiful Justine, thank you for being here tonight and for your continued support here on Facebook and what have you. A great friend and a great person to have. So thank you. Jack Russell as well. in the hood. I noticed Jerry. Where did Jerry go? And Dango Berries, thanks for joining. Jerry mentioned the Irish Navy pulling bodies out the water. And we did. I mean, Jerry must have flaked out because we did mention, although we never said about bodies, but they reckon England and Northern Ireland had debris. So, I mean, that's a gigantic area, man. Gigantic area. And when you compare that to 9/11, it's not adding up. It does not add up, I'm afraid. So, great to see Jerry wherever he went off to. Honestly, no loyalty, man. No loyalty. What happens in the hood as well? Good to see you. Toffee, is that for the movie? That would be great if you're up for it. We need a hardcore, dedicated team of experts to review. So good luck finding them, right? But it would be great. It would be a pleasure to have Toffee. So I mean, I know Toffee likes to watch a film as well, and it would be, yeah, that would be of course handy if you already like movies and movie discussion. Then I mean, I reckon we could have maybe 4 people at least, and I've said to Sensum that the door's open for him if he wants to come on. The guy Eke seems to have completely disappeared, because I would have said to him, look, there's a space if you want one. So we're kind of looking for maybe 2 or 3 people, and if Toffee's keen, then still maybe another 2 people that we can depend on and that know a thing or two about any movie, I guess, and not a particular movie, but just in general. But we'll discuss that more on Friday, and maybe I'll put a link and Paul can come up and teach us a few things. So you better be about on Friday, and don't bother putting a stream on when I'm streaming. I'll find where you stay. I'll get the ferry. I'll swim. Fuck the ferry. I'll be swimming. I'll swim across and I'll find you. There's only one Paul in Ireland, especially Paul O'Neill, right? He's a good man. A lot of time, a lot of respect for Paul. Always a good crack. Tonette. Justine did tell me how to pronounce it, but hey, it's me. It's late. But it's a pleasure to see you, and I hope you're doing well. I'm unsure if you've joined before, or if you're even a subscriber, because I don't think it's on subscriber-only mode. So anybody can jump in and comment and call me a Scottish you-know-what good guy. And that's fine. Usually I'll put the subscriber only mode because it stops spam and shit like that. But sometimes I forget. Hey, it's all good in the hood. But it's good to see you, and thank you for joining. You can more than welcome. If you liked it, you can join again. Alpine in the hood, thank you for joining. Tonette. I don't know if it's just me. I can't say the word toe. Maybe that's what it is. After this, I'm just gonna practice my words. Oh man. So we'll go with Tonette, right? Thank you for joining. And you're more than welcome. Jack Russell as well. The beautiful Justine. Being here shows you how much I know. I thought this was your channel. Yeah. Hey, it's hard for me to keep up, right? Insert joke. Carmel as well. I hope you and Rich are doing well. And Rich, you better be behaving. Probably not, but there you go. Ross, always a pleasure. I hope you're doing good. Jerry, he'll be protesting the ferry. Yeah. Hey, I'll swim. Forget the ferry. I'm not flying, but I'll swim across. Do you know, I think I'd rather swim it than fly, to be honest. The way things are at the moment, I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, it's a thought, right? And Dawn as well. Good to see you, Dawn. I hope you're doing well down under. We're growing all them vegetables that you've got. Fantastic. Love it. Wendy, Paul, Ross, Tonette, Jerry, Linda, Toffee, Joni. So yeah, I think we got everyone, and I'm cautious because I'm looking at the time. I said under 4 hours, so got to be a man of my word, right? And we're on 3:50, so I think we'll call it a day there. And I'll catch you on Friday. We'll do a bit of a catch up, a regroup, right? We'll regroup on Friday, and God granted, push on ahead. And like I always say, we do not bend, we do not break, we do not live in fear. We just don't. No fear. Eradicate fear completely. Nobody gets in your way, man. Nobody. No matter who they think they are. Do not let them get in the way. And like I always say, no matter what, no matter where, do not comply. And that is about it. Bye-bye.
Don't nobody know my troubles but God. Don't nobody know my troubles but God. Oh Lord, they know trouble so hard. Oh Lord, they know trouble so hard. Don't nobody know my troubles but God. Don't nobody know my troubles but God. Yes, I went down the other day. My soul was happy because she told me. I went down the other day. My soul was happy because she told me. Oh Lord, and our trouble so hard. Oh Lord, and our trouble so hard. Don't nobody know my troubles but God. Don't nobody know my troubles but God. And I went up that hill again today. My soul was happy because she told me. But I went to my room and did stay long. Looked at the bed and my brother was there. Oh Lord, you know trouble so hard. Oh Lord, you know trouble so hard. Don't nobody know my troubles but God. Don't nobody know my troubles but God.
Wake up and get down, Eagle. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Rocket point, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.